Hello, everybody, and welcome to Ninjago Cast, episode 85. I am Sensei Mesa.
I'm Sakota.
I'm Josh.
I'm Bendo.
I'm Purple.
Yeah!
Surprise!
Surprise! One of the Ninjago Cast OGs, Purple, better known as Supira, has returned for this once-in-a-lifetime occasion. Except maybe she'll be back another time to talk about the season. I don't know. Maybe. We'll see if she feels like it. But she's here today. Let's give her a warm welcome. Everybody get hype.
Yeah!
We got something special for you guys today. We got something that we have been waiting to do for a long time. And by waiting to do, I mean forgetting, putting off, and getting distracted by other things. We are going to do the Ninjago Season tier list, where we are going to try to rank every Ninjago season that has ever been released and try to come to some kind of a consensus, even though I think we all have like wildly different takes. But before we start, just like a few minor things.
Two things from me real quick. Oh, sorry.
Wait, no, you go first.
Please let me know in chat how the audio levels are, because there were some differences before we start. Also, I'm sorry I forgot to play the intro music.
What?
How could you?
I can still play it if you want to, but it's kind of weird now.
No, it's fine.
That's all right.
It's okay.
How's it go? Maybe we can just sing it.
There you go.
Just like with the Weekend Whip.
Dun, 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 dun. All right.
Okay.
There you go. Good enough.
Yay! I didn't sing at all.
We fulfilled our contractual obligation. So I want to just kind of chat with you for a minute, Purple, because
Hi.
it's been a long time since you were on. When did you get back into Ninjago after like kind of being out of it for a while?
I got back into it about a year ago when Dragons Rising first started, because you had like showed me it and I was like, I'm enjoying this. And then I finished like season 1, part 1 of it, and I was like, I like this. And so
Good.
I've been keeping up with it since.
Cool. We love that. It's like the comeback point. And you've been doing a lot since you're like back in the Ninjago now. And
I've been drawing a lot.
Yeah, plug your stuff. You've recently done something really cool.
Okay, so I hope you enjoyed that. No. Okay, so about 10 years ago, I tried making a Ninjago fan comic where it took place during Rebooted, where basically like, what if the Overlord had like kidnapped Jay and used his lightning powers to like, fuel the Nindroids and stuff. But because in the actual season, like they lost their powers, so Jay didn't have his powers because they lose their powers every freaking season. So I was just kind of like, okay, but like what if they did something else? And I got through about one chapter or like 60 something pages before I was like, this is too much work for me. I can't rewrite this entire season with my fanfic. I canceled the comic.
Mhm.
Well, fast forward to about a year ago, after I got into Dragons Rising again, I realized that the 10th anniversary of that comic was August of this year. And so I kind of had this idea of like, what if I just like made the comic just in the span of like 7 months? What if I just made the whole thing, not like a full season rewrite, but all the fun stuff. And so I literally just made an entire like 40+ page Ninjago fan comic in secret, dumped it on the 10th anniversary, and like Tumblr lost their minds.
Heck yeah.
If you have a link, I can pin it in the chat. Maybe.
Yes, I do.
You should do that. I put the tweets in the patron chat, but there you go. There's a direct link.
Yeah. And
I
like,
would,
go ahead.
I would really recommend everybody read it. It's straight up fire.
Yeah, it's like it's really cool because a lot of the people commenting on like the comic were like OG fans from 10 years ago who read the original, who are still around, and it's just like it's cool seeing like y'all
That's
come
really
back
fun.
and stuff.
I love
Yeah.
that. I love that a
also-
lot.
Yeah, and it's also just like really like I guess motivating seeing how much progress I have made as a comic maker from like when I was literally in high school
So
till
true.
like now. It's like wow, like not to toot my own horn, but like I'm really good at drawing.
True. You always were, but your style has definitely like solidified a lot, and your work on all your different series has really paid off.
Yeah.
It's a good like
Zero.
benchmark of progress.
Zero Jump says you did Evil J before it was cool.
Right? I did
Real.
J before, you know, Lego, you know. But,
We ripped
yeah.
you off,
Considered it.
bro. Yeah, I just wanted to give you the chance to talk about that because it's really cool. It's a big like momentous thing, and especially for like being out of the community for a bit and coming back with a surprise like mega comic drop. Like that's
Like, what a return.
pretty commendable. And I'm glad you got some good pop for it. I would recommend
Yeah.
everybody go check it out.
Purple, you said 10 years.
10
And that makes
years.
me feel
Yep.
so old because I've been following you like that entire time. I remember.
Yeah, no, yeah.
I remember I remember when you were first doing this so long ago.
Yeah, no,
Pretty
I
awesome.
remember you. Like you were like one of the OGs too.
Yeah,
Oh, so cool.
yeah,
Yeah, it's like it's really cool seeing like how far your art has come too.
yeah. Same. Like
You
I
guys are
remember. Not gonna lie, I think you were before me, right? You like started drawing before me, so like you were one of my inspirations to draw Ninjago stuff.
Aww, that's cool.
Yeah.
Wholesome Supreme. You guys rock. And now we can yell at each other for like 2 hours.
Yeah.
as true members of fandom do.
Gosh.
But first, I just kind of want to answer a few like questions about what we're doing. Namely, Professor Plastic in the YouTube chat asks, "Are you guys going to talk about Dragons Rising Season 2 Part 2?" We kind of have to, but we're gonna. I think we should avoid
Yeah, we can
talking
make
about it in
spoiler-free.
like. I think we should do spoiler free. I feel like we can
Yeah.
talk
Yeah.
about it. We can give our opinions. We have not yet done our podcast about that. We are waiting for the official release. We've already, for anybody that doesn't know, we've already watched it. We have our reactions like basically done. I need to like actually edit them and upload them. They're going to go live starting on the official release, and then maybe like once the reacts conclude, we'll schedule the podcast and talk about it then. But
Also,
go ahead.
I was gonna say also, whenever the season officially releases, I want to do an art stream. Like
Yeah, go nuts.
about the all the characters in part 2.
Yeah, by all means. There's a lot to choose from. So yeah, don't expect like a spoiler discussion of that today, but we will place it and we'll talk about it a little bit. Okay. So do we just kind of want to like go in release order?
Bendo should
I
do
think
his
so.
plug too.
Wait, can I do a shameless plug real quick?
Yeah, by all
Bendo do
means.
his plug.
Plug your
Keep
music.
doing it. Yeah, okay. So for anyone who's in the Monkey Kid fandom by chance, I've been making a bunch of Monkey Kid fan songs that are on Spotify and Apple Music and iTunes and anywhere that you listen to music. So you can check that out. You can just search, the artist name is literally just Bendo Bricks, and you can find it there. You can also find the music videos on my YouTube channel as well.
They go hard.
And then also I'm going to be releasing my Aaron retrospective video the weekend of the release of the new season. So
They
if you're
go
interested in
hard.
that too.
Both the
check that out
songs
as well.
and the character analysis. Please.
Thank you.
They
Yes.
deserve your time and your clicks. They've been doing some pretty good numbers on Spotify, right?
Oh yeah. We've surpassed 300 monthly listeners, and the
Woo,
first song
dang.
"Harbinger of Chaos" has over 1,000 plays. So
Nice.
thank you
That's
guys.
cool.
climb the ranks. This is so good. All right. So, Sakota, do you have any preferences or any like special ways that we're gonna do things, or do you just want to start with like the pilots and
Yeah, we can just like the seasons are sorted here in order, so I think that will make sense. Before we start, we should maybe decide like maybe what tiers we want to do. Are we just going with the normal S to F, or are we
Nah, that's
saying
boring.
like which is which? Like S is best ever and A is like, I don't know. Or do we want to have less
If Mary
tiers,
was
more
here,
tiers?
she would make some really funny tier list names.
I mean, Mary's in
is her,
chat,
uh,
so
She is, but her tier list names might be a little savage.
We can interpret the tiers as we see fit, but ultimately the letters are what they symbolize.
There you
Okay.
go.
and
I do. I mean, obviously, like there to me, there's a pretty big gap between something that's an S and A. I feel like the S's are like franchise-defining things that
Yeah.
get commonly mentioned, and I feel like A is like
I mean,
pretty
you,
good.
You mean like Crystallized?
Oh, of
The
course.
way- I mean, on my tier list, I pretty much like S. I named peak in all capital letters, and then below that, I just named A really good,
Yeah.
and then the tier below that pretty good, and then below that decent, and then meh, and then I got more creative
Bad.
as it goes down.
Yeah.
Like one of them is literally called hilarious mess because I needed somewhere to put rebooted. So
we could ape those naming conventions.
Yeah, we can change it along the way too, so it's fine.
yeah.
And also, I asked Meso beforehand, but so the viewers maybe know, we're ranking not just on like plot alone, but also like production values, I guess, music, voice acting, everything, kind of, right?
My
Yes.
personal criteria is two things. One, do I actually remember what happened in the season? And two, how angry just hearing the name of the season make me?
Dang.
There you go.
There you go.
Like, I think that, I mean, here's the thing about it as well. You can't just do it on like writing alone.
Yeah.
You have to take into account those other factors, and also, this might be my hot take, you have to take in community sentiment as well,
Okay.
because some things it's just inextricably linked. You cannot separate it. I'm thinking Sons of Garmadon, and I'm thinking Crystallized. When I think
I
of
will
those.
separate Crystallized from the whole fandom.
So-
Watch me.
One thing I want to say, or that kind of ties into that, is, are we considering like overall impact on the show, like how like substantial something
sure.
impacted the show going forward, or is that
if we
like
can
we keep it contained
quantify
to the
that.
season? Yeah, because I feel like
Okay,
that's gonna be important for stuff like Seabound or Crystallized, or I don't know.
We'll
the
see.
Final battle.
We'll play fast and loose with that.
Okay.
But I feel like only a few seasons would have that kind of effect.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right.
Start
Our
with
pilots.
pilots. Incredibly hard to rank the
Yeah.
pilots.
Exactly.
Pilots are very like neutral for me because like they are technically very solid, but my main reason for liking them is just pure nostalgia. Otherwise, like it's very like whatever, you know.
I feel like if they were awful, Ninjago wouldn't exist.
Exactly. Yeah.
But, you know, like, they also don't have much.
The pilots set everything good up in a way, but also because it was never planned to be much more, they have so many like stuff that got retconned or changed or put in a different context over time, so it's kind of funny looking back at it. But I don't think it's bad or anything.
Yeah,
I
they're
just
fine.
remember Wu's funny voice.
Oh, God.
very, very offensive voice.
Yeah.
I remember the him dancing around the campfire.
It really does feel like very
Iconic scene.
tonally separate from what
Yeah.
Ninjago like.
I mean, I think the pilot's fine for what it is. I don't think it's like an amazing pilot. I don't think it's a bad pilot. Like I've seen way worse pilots. Like for what it did, it's impressive how well they kind of just immediately sell you on everything. But like,
I think I'd personally
know.
go like B.
Yeah, I was gonna
Yeah.
say B.
yeah,
B is
I'd probably,
very fitting.
yeah.
I cannot argue because anything lower has to like evoke a negative emotion, and the pilots don't.
Yeah. So should I do
So-
B?
I say B is fine.
I'd say, yeah.
Alrighty, pilots B. Also,
Alright.
we might,
easy one.
if we can't agree, we might do chat polls.
Wait,
Where we don't
that
take
be-
bribes.
You
we do
mean
not
you
take
mean
bribes.
when we don't agree, we will do chat polls.
Yes.
When?
Yeah.
And yeah, so what he means by bribes is don't like contribute money to get like
A season
something you
rank
want
better
without
or worse.
Me.
Yeah.
which
I
may or
learned
may
the
not have
hard way.
happened in Bindo's stream.
Yes.
Contribute money only if you want to support us because it is appreciated. And you can also check us out on Patreon, patreon.com/TTV channel. We have a cool Discord server. That's about it, though. That's all I gotta say.
All right, Rise of the Snakes. I very recently rewatched Rise of the Snakes. And I mean, of course, it's old and stuff, but I actually think it's really good because every character has a really good character arc for their true potential.
Yeah,
I
I put
think
it
it's
in
very
A tier
underrated.
aged
personally.
really well.
I think everything, honestly, everything before TikTok is kind of meh to me, but then everything after it is like, is
Yeah.
I
TikTok
really,
to
yeah,
this
it's
day.
big.
TikTok to this day is still like a peak episode in my opinion.
Oh, 100%.
I really like pre-TikTok Zane though, with like the whole.
That is true. That
His
is
whole
true.
shtick
Like
and-
Home is really good.
Yeah.
What else? I need to pull up like the episode lists because I'm bad at remembering episode names.
I feel like Rise of the Snakes, the show has aged out of it.
For sure.
I don't feel it has much, like besides TikTok, I can't really remember like an episode from it.
Oh,
Okay,
Day of the
TikTok
Great
is really good.
Devourer,
Never Trust a Snake is really
The
good.
Green Ninja.
I don't know what happens in any of
The
those.
Green Ninja, Royal Blacksmiths.
Yeah.
I can
Yeah.
remember like all the Ninja's True Potential episodes. The finale's really great. Pythor is like one of my favorite villains.
Same.
Like,
Yeah. Oh yeah.
There you go.
I just think the season's iconic on like
Rise
all
of the
levels,
Snakes
and
is
it just
the most iconic piece of Ninjago probably.
it does it
Taco
does
Buster.
so much good character stuff early on. I feel like that we don't even. I feel like we don't like going into season 2 and 3 and stuff. We kind of just start to see less of.
Yeah.
Just like a
Yeah.
focus on just these individual character episodes and just learning about them and getting these small little arcs that define them piece by piece. It really helps kind of just get you invested in the main cast more and build up to the conflict of season 2. And I think it just does a really good job.
Yeah, I feel like they had
all of that.
more time to like kind of solidify the plot of seasons like 1 and 2, and then later on everything is like DLC in a way.
Yeah.
But we're before that point, so
And also
I feel
just
like-
like the whole
That's
the
fair.
Green Ninja plot with like Kai's true potential and then Lloyd. I feel like it's just so like this is Ninjago basically.
Yeah. This is like the core aspects being built here.
Yeah.
which
I
is
feel
I
really
like-
definitely don't have as much love for it. I
feel
feel
like
like
season
my
one-
love is mainly with the modern.
banished to the
stuff.
Shadow Realm.
But I'm clearly in the
mean,
minority
I
here.
think it definitely has growing pains. Like obviously the animation's not
There's
nearly as
problems.
good.
Yeah.
Not every episode is super entertaining. Like there are some episodes that drag a bit more than others.
Yeah.
I would just overall, I would say it's just a really well-rounded, like just it's pretty good. Like it aged really well. It did a good job of setting up certain character stuff. It definitely feels like the highlight in terms of the like old era of the show back when we just had the first couple of seasons. Like
I mean, I'll agree
Yeah.
with that.
this felt like the lightning in a bottle that they never really recaptured for a while to me. So like
You're thinking like A
I'd put it in A.
or S?
I would put it in A.
I would
A.
put A just because the first like half of the season is very like mid
Yeah.
for
I'd
me.
also-
Like it's still entertaining, but
It's
not like,
definitely not S. It's
Yeah, I don't
definitely
know
not
A
S.
Yeah.
personally because I like production value wise, definitely, and also like it doesn't have those like super high, tense emotional moments as some other seasons do.
I mean, like looking at my tier list, like for me, it's anchored differently because like the pilots is like a C, and then for me that would make Rise of Snakes a B, just because A and S are reserved for like the really good stuff for me.
Mhm.
But it
We
just
can always
depends on
change it.
it depends on what
Yeah, we
tier
can
we want to
move
anchor
stuff
everything around.
later.
Because
But
like for me,
I
C
agree.
seems
It's
like
a
decent,
It's a minor. That is true.
and then B
in
seems like
fact-
pretty good.
Now that we're saying it out loud, I vote we move pilots to C
Really?
because yeah,
I guess
I would
like
say
which letter do we consider to be like the true neutral? Because we have like 6 categories.
I think C
But
should be
C's
neutral and
probably
S is
neutral.
like S should be reserved for like the top of the top, you know?
Yeah, I agree.
Okay, so should we move
Like
both
Rise of
down
the Snakes
one?
and A already seems a bit too high for me. Like I'd say like both of these
Pump,
seasons go
pump
down.
it down to
C and B.
Also,
Yeah.
Mary makes a really good point. Like people who like used to watch Ninjago when they were like kids and like don't even know that it's still going on can still remember like the Green Ninja and and all that kind of stuff. So like it's still like very memorable to
I
this
don't
day.
doubt that. I
People
guess,
still
like,
argue about whether Kai should have been the Green Ninja or
Yeah.
not.
I think he should have, but that's just because I don't
Really?
like Lloyd.
Oh.
you don't like Lloyd.
Lloyd, listen, Lloyd isn't like that cool. He's literally just some guy, and the show puts way too much attention on him.
I can kind of agree with that at some points, but I don't think Kai should have been the Green Ninja. Should I put like neutral under C so we kind of have like an anchor point so we remember?
Yeah.
Yes, that's a good thing to do. I guess so my philosophy when it comes to shows, I guess I should kind of explain, like, it's not that I hate Rise of the Snakes, it's just like in media, a lot of people prefer the original iterations of things because they set the foundations or they're really good. I think of shows like Stranger Things, everybody loves like Stranger Things season 1. I'm kind of the opposite. I feel like with long-running shows, I tend to almost always prefer the seasons that build on the original over the original because I feel like things are at their least interesting point when they start.
The problem is that
I
Ninjago doesn't really do that.
I generally
season
agree
2
the problem is
Rebooted
that,
really build
exactly. It's kind of like with Ninjago,
it doesn't really
planned
start
that
to
way.
get up to that quality until Tournament of Elements.
Yeah, because like you said, the character focus is kind of like
and they kind of just drop. They
do their arcs immediately, and then they don't get any more until geez.
Lloyd gets some stuff, and Garmadon gets some stuff, and that's about it. The show just turns into Lloyd and Garmadon. The show, and you have to wait like halfway into season 2 to even get to that stuff.
What is Dawa? S1 unfortunately spawned a whole mob of ninja boomers on social media, and it's annoying sometimes. That's a term I haven't heard.
Guys, Ninjago fell off after season 2, so I don't even like everything after
this
is stuff here.
We are probably also all ninja boomers, but
yeah.
Oh, geez, you're right.
Okay. This is sad.
Is it final battle?
Final battle time?
Okay.
Yeah.
I hate the final battle.
Oh wow. Wow.
Almost
a strong
all of
word.
It. When I say hate, I mean like hate. I think very little about it is good. Half the season is filler. Most of it is boring, not that interesting, irrelevant, weird fluff. It does a hard pivot with the worst episode of the show in wrong place, wrong time. And segues directly into the worst character in the show with Misaka. And then goes into this weird, awkward, dark island evil. There's a tank that's gonna like shoot a mob of like goop and turn everyone into like zombies. And there's like a prophecy. And there's a disgusting freak overlord Garmadon mutant fusion hybrid that looks disgusting.
Hey, that's his persona. Don't be mean.
I feel like the conflict is kind of rushed. I feel like all of the ninja get sidelined in favor of Lloyd. I feel like the final fight of Lloyd and the Overlord is incredibly cringe with series low dialogue. I don't know. I'm just rattling off.
Contrived too, kind of.
Yeah.
When you think about it, season 2 follows the same structure as season 1, with the first half just being like episodic stuff, and then the second half being an actual arc.
You're right.
Okay, so I really like some of the filler episodes. Ninja Ball Run, for example. And Child's Play makes not a lot of sense, but it's fun. And one of my favorite episodes of like the old era is in the final battle. It's the Dark Island. But yeah, I agree.
I forgot to say
says.
the final battle season also has what I consider to be, and I've thought about this still to this day, even with Crystallized, the worst plot point in all of Ninjago, and it is the celestial clock, which is perhaps the dumbest, nonsensical.
The countdown to the final battle has begun.
A literal clock, a real factual clock that counts down. Literally,
it's
to the final battle.
It's the Cloud Kingdom.
Who built it?
Dude, I hate
Cloud
prophecies
Kingdom,
in
guys.
fiction.
The final battle though is exactly like what I would imagine like a kid would come up with. Like seeing Ninjago and being like, oh my goodness, guys, Lloyd the Green Ninja versus Garmadon, and he turns into the Overlord, and there's a big countdown. Like, I feel like it's like that kind of thing where it's like.
And also, this is kind of like one of the points where I was like, are we considering the overall impact on the overall show? Because I actually think the final battle's overall impact is very negative, because it was clearly intended as an ending.
Yeah.
And because of that, like a lot of the plot points with the Lloyd being the ultimate Spinjitzu master, Overlord being defeated, Garmadon being good, kind of is like retconned in different ways because it would kind of end the show. So
Lloyd's the handling of Lloyd's golden power and stuff is a weird point, and I feel like this season gets the blame for that.
I think my biggest problem with this season is that they build up to this whole conflict that started in season 1 with Lloyd and Garmadon, and how they would have to face each other, and how neither of them are necessarily comfortable with that idea. And because like they have been thrust into these destinies where they have to like do what they seem to be forced to do in order to, have the world be in peace and fulfill whatever prophecy or whatever. But like then the season just goes, the interesting conflict between like a father and his son. Nah, the Overlord's just gonna take over Garmadon, and we're just not gonna get any of the emotional payoff of that in the finale.
I think.
Yeah, that's pretty dumb.
So it's like, what was the point? And that's the only good character work. Everything else, like, the other ninja aren't getting any arcs. Wu's not getting an arc, I guess, if you count his story with Masako, which is like, I don't even know what was supposed to be going on there.
I forgot about that.
Like, what is happening?
Professor Plastic and the cat Roz built the clock. It's part of his plan.
The season is just like pure spectacle and nothing else. It's just like
I have a very I really do not like this season. I would not say it's like the worst. I think there's a few that are worse than it. I would say it would go in D.
Yeah, I definitely like it less than the pilots.
I don't think it's the worst thing ever.
I think it's some
fun moments. It's just like it feels so hollow to me. I feel like nothing was done with any of the characters.
Oh yeah,
and, like, the plot points are really contrived. And
they brought back Dr. Julian too after he died in the first season.
Then they have
the first of many death retcons.
You're right. It started everything.
So,
man, this season sucks actually.
D.
Yeah.
D for Dark Island.
Oh my gosh.
Next up, Rebooted.
Yeah. AJ,
Rebooted.
You don't remember like Zane's dad? Like, yeah, he was back and then he just died again.
Yeah, like he was like, yeah, I gave me a potion that maybe come back to life.
Yeah, they can build bikes for them.
Bro, give him an elixir.
Yeah, so he
making
died
him
again
make machines. Bro gave an elixir and said, "Bro, make the bone mobile."
AJ, I've been telling you for a while you need to rewatch Ninjago. It's a trip. You really should. Okay.
Rebooted.
My hot take number 2. I really like Rebooted.
I like Rebooted too.
Rebooted is
like.
I feel like this is gonna be a big disagreement.
Rebooted is so funny. I can't take it seriously. It's so stupid. Everything is so dumb.
The quality jump in terms of production value going from the final battle to Rebooted is only it's equivalent to like Hands of Time to Sons of Garmadon, and it's equivalent to like Crystallized to Dragons Rising.
Okay,
it's such a big jump.
I think we can all agree that Rebooted is kind of a mess, right?
Yes,
Rebooted is the funniest mess ever.
And it's probably because of like they didn't know how many episodes they're gonna have, so they had like different points where they were wrapping it up and then extending it. But I will
Yeah.
say, like, it's always fun still, though.
No,
like,
that's
the individual episodes.
I'm
Out of
really
the Sun Fist
conflicted
is a highlight
on-
for me.
Yeah, I'm really conflicted on Rebooted because on the one hand, I want to say I really like this season, but on the other, I literally made an entire comic twice because I didn't like the writing.
That's really funny.
That's crazy.
even
I
like
mean-
the last episode, you know, the one that's like the one that everybody remembers is like so good.
Dude, I
Only-
cried.
Only like the last 5 minutes of it.
Yeah, literally, it was not built up to in the slightest. So I don't know. It's so
Like,
funny looking back on that scene.
Also-
the last episode, you have Zane, you know, giving like one of the most heartfelt sacrifices in the show and all that stuff. But then like right before that, you have like Wu and Garmadon playing baseball with the
Yeah.
Shield.
We also
then, like-
gotta mention Love Triangle.
Well,
Oh, I
I
forgot
don't even wanna
about
talk about
that.
This season is a complete
No.
mess.
No, F. Here's the thing, okay? It has the love triangle is one of the worst moments. This is true of the entire show.
Yeah.
But Zane's sacrifice is one of the best moments
Yeah.
of the entire
They
show.
don't
like-
cancel out.
They cancel out.
No, they don't.
They don't cancel
This is the
out.
thing. This is the thing.
Yes.
Zane's sacrifice, one of the best moments of the entire show. When we had like 4 or 5 seasons, maybe, but like nowadays,
It still is.
Oh,
it has
okay.
been outshined by so many other things.
So
I
I'm
still
like,
think it's good.
I often forget it even
I
happened
think-
nowadays.
We should have it in neutral because it
Okay.
always has like something great and then something really bad. Like
Here's
we have
what-
Saint
That's where I was going.
Sacrifice
It's the most
There's a-
intense
and then Love
neutral.
Triangle. We have
no, okay.
Cyrusborg and Pixel, but then we have Callback to Wrong Place, Wrong Time.
Yeah. Well, okay, but here's the thing: Ninja in Space is good.
Yeah, that
what
was
I'm
cool.
saying.
My favorite scene of the entire season that like I think shows how crazy and insane the season is literally all the ninja in a giant high-tech launch facility under the lost city of Ouroboros.
Yeah.
Yeah,
A
why
giant countdown timer is going down. Much slower than actual seconds, mind you. Well, the ninja all board the storage unit of this giant spaceship, and Lloyd and Cole are arguing about the validity of ninja being in space.
Dude, it's epic. It was
Like-
cool.
Ninja in Space was fun. You can't convince me that
They-
that wasn't
Ninja
fun.
don't belong in space.
There was
Also-
a point where Ninjago existed based on the absurdity of its premise, and they owned that. And I think that had a certain charm to it, like the spinning ninja, you know, fighting skeletons on motorcycles kind of era, and they like wore that on their sleeve.
No, it was
and,
hilarious.
like
It's just-
Ninja in Space is like a moment like that.
I can't take any of it seriously. I
Also-
just can't help but laugh at it.
Also
Sensei
forgot-
Garmadon is great in that season.
I also
Yes.
forgot they went into the Tron world too. For
They
an
did.
episode.
Oh my
I
god, the
forgot about that.
Digiverse.
The first time.
They just did whatever they wanted.
I can
It's all-
respect that.
It's
but-
all it's balanced because like Garmadon was really good, but Tech Woo was really bad.
Garmadon was fine, but like they did the same shtick way better in the next season. So like,
Okay, also one thing I really
don't
don't
know.
like about Rebooted is the Golden Master prophecy because it doesn't make any sense.
But I
See, I can't
like-
stand prophecy arcs.
I like
don't you
the
guys
Golden
love it when they
Master.
just find this random temple that has never been brought up before in the middle of Ninjago City that just has stone armor in it, and they're just like, yeah, that'll protect you from the
Apparently
Overlord.
built.
This has a force field too, by the
It's
way.
a cool temple.
And this is where I keep my shrinking diet pill.
Dakota,
Also-
what the Golden Master
It's
prophecy?
like convenient we have all the plot items
What?
in this one specific spot that's never been mentioned.
What
Wait,
about the Golden
okay,
Master
but the-
prophecy doesn't make sense? Like none of it comes
Yes.
true ever.
It also completely contradicts any of the Serpentine lore we learned,
Yeah.
and then we also learn more lore after that is also confusing towards
But it's
that. So
a-
it's like, is this real or is this not, or what is
I
happening?
mean, it's just like a retcon, right? Like it's one of many.
it's a
Ninjago
retcon that gets
retcons.
unretconned in the next.
Yeah, but it
season.
it doesn't end up happening. It's probably just like a non-true prophecy.
Yeah,
I
like,
mean,
it's
a lot of
complete-
prophecy is
fake
like it's,
Yeah,
thing.
but like why bring it up then?
It's so weird. This season's so weird. I think in the context of this tier list, I would put it in like D, but above. the
I'd put
final
it in
battle
C
arc.
behind the pilots. But that's just me.
I would
I'd
put
in D
it.
above season 2.
I would put it either low B or high C because I still like enjoy the season, even if it's very silly.
Should we do a chat poll with like B, C, D?
Well, let's see if we're deadlocked. Let's all place our vote. I say it should be in C.
Me too.
I say D.
D.
So you would
C
be
or
the
B.
So purple's the tiebreaker, but it wouldn't go all the way up to B. It would be in C.
It looks like C. Yeah, I'm fine with that. Under the pilots, at least.
Behind the pilot.
Yeah.
No, over.
I agree with over.
Oh no.
Over.
It has higher highs than the pilot.
It's true. It has higher highs. I agree with that.
Okay, whatever. Fine. Sure.
Here's the thing, and I agree with you that we have since come farther, but I cannot overstate. No Ninjago media has ever like stunned me as much as Zane's Sacrifice did, where LJ and I opened up our review episode speechless, just like applauding at how good it was.
Like for the time,
literally clapping.
But like
it was a big deal.
It was a big deal, and it was a big deal for a long time. But I'm like just looking at it in the scope of today. Like when I watch that season, I don't feel anything for that moment anymore. Like rewatching it, it just doesn't hold up. It doesn't age well.
Put a bookmark in that. We'll come back to that later.
Rebooted does not age well, in my opinion. And also, I know exactly what you're gonna. I already know exactly the argument we're gonna get into later.
I'm coming for you,
and I already. Whatever. We'll cross the bridge when we get there.
We'll get there.
Next up, Tournament of Elements. Really liked it, actually.
It's still pretty.
I would also agree with A if I just want to give my rating. It
has a lot of problems, but like
it has problems, but it introduced like pretty much all the concepts Ninjago lives off nowadays, which is realms and elemental masters.
It's a slight spoiler, I guess.
Was realms.
It's a slight spoiler, but like I consider the tournament, possession, Skybound like trilogy to be like up there in terms of Ninjago. I consider it like the third best kind of arc in the franchise.
Out of like 4 or 5.
Yeah. It's not, it's in the middle, to be fair, but like, it's really good. It set up a lot of concepts. It all flowed into each other very well, and Tournament started it. 100%
also,
it did.
I guess if we're doing spoilers for like the next 3, I think Tournament is my favorite out of these 3. Out of Possession, Skybound, and Tournament.
Easily. Tournament is like my favorite season.
Chen is a fantastic villain.
Chen is great.
Super entertaining. I love the Elemental Masters backstory with the ninja's parents that was introduced. So, big fan of Tournament.
Garmadon is better than Wu.
Sensei Garmadon is so good in Tournament of Elements.
Sensei Garmadon is awesome.
Sensei Garmadon's Sacrifice, honestly,
him versus
really
Klaus
well
is so
executed.
Good.
Like when Lloyd banishes him to
goodness.
the Cursed Realm.
The season just has so much going for it. I think my favorite thing about Tournament of Elements is that it actually uses the tournament arc in a really fascinating way to where, a lot of the mysteries are admittedly very predictable, but like they're still fun to follow. And I think the season does a good job of being structurally different from so many other Ninjago seasons that it's like it has this unique flair to it and this unique like I love seeing the drama of it all unfolding, and it's so fun.
Also Karlov.
Also Carla. There's so many good characters. Like
they did introduce a lot of characters that people still like to this day.
I do think the second part, when it gets to like the Anaconda trying to take over Ninjago,
it completely falls off a cliff.
Starts to nosedive quite a bit.
But we have the weird Anaconda stuff. We have the weird Wu Garmadon letter stuff.
I also have my hot take that like Kyler was just completely fumbled and wasted potential. Like Skylar as her own character could have been a way more interesting character that they just completely forfeit in favor of having that ship happen. That doesn't even get a satisfying
did it even happen?
Yeah, like, barely.
I
why?
don't really think you can say Skylar's character was hindered because of the ship. I think it was just the direction they took.
I think it's because they steered. They like unnaturally steered her character into going into the direction of the ship.
I feel like though that's not as much of a tournament problem, more of a later seasons problem.
I think it's a tournament problem because it's it's clear that like they were building to be like, okay, the payoff is that like they're hinted at being a thing by the end. and that's what the goal of the character is to be by the end of the story. And I'm just like, I don't know. I think she could have been a lot more. I think her like relation with Chen and that whole dynamic could have been a lot more interesting of a story.
I mean, would you want her to have stayed like a villain or be like a kind of character?
I don't mind either way. I think I would have preferred the villain angle more because I think it would have been interesting. But I also recognize that like her having to break away from Chen is also a really important plot point that I think should also still be a thing. It's just the way they did it with Kai and stuff did not feel earned, and it was just super rushed in my opinion. And just I don't know. I always think on that, and I'm like, I don't know. There's a lot of potential with her character there that I think they. I
just feel like if we're blaming anything. I don't blame the Kyler ship. I blame her powers because they wrote her into a corner with her abilities to where she literally, and this has been like admitted, I think, I don't quote me, I could be wrong, but like I think Tommy said something at some point which is like, yeah, we can't really like, we can't really include her too much because she's too overpowered.
Yeah. That's a problem for like future seasons, I think.
But she was introduced in tournament.
I explain it better in my tournament developments video.
They ended the season having to write her to be a noodle shop owner because she couldn't be a protagonist because she would end every fight, and she couldn't be an antagonist because she couldn't be beaten.
Especially that was kind of
like the ninja powers are a pretty big hindrance in that. I just think like the mystery they were setting up with her was really well paced, and I think it kind of falls off at the payoff, but I don't know. Other than that, I still really
another of my personal series low moments happens in tournament, which you guys have heard me talk about for years, but I'll say it again one more time. Hold the line, and they proceed to literally hold the line.
Yeah, it's not great, but I don't think it's as bad as you make it.
Okay, but a highlight of the later episodes definitely is Pythor. Like I feel like he was really fun.
Pythor's always the highlight.
Rodrigo.
Also, Lloyd says energy. And that's been haunting the community for years because he one-time screams energy while summoning his dragon, not necessarily meaning that's his power, and Chen calls it power. So the whole energy debate starts here.
Okay, but what's the difference between energy and power?
Nothing, and both are lies. Because life is his power.
Whatever.
Also,
when
he was deaf. This is personal bias, but when trying to map out this season, the last like half of the season broke me.
What do you mean broke you? Like geographically?
Yes. Trying to figure out where all of the trucks went and like why they were going the way they were, and they were just like kind of going all over the map. And at one point, it showed them out in the ocean at some point. Like,
wait, what?
Yeah, there's a map that shows all of the Quarter of Elders was like out in the ocean or something.
They were going to Merlopia.
Yeah,
maybe. That's possible.
No, like they started off like on the other side of the Quarter of Elders, basically like in locations that are like canonically outside of the Quarter of Elders or where it would be on the map. And then like the Birchwood Forest and everything like that. And then suddenly they just appear out in the ocean, and the Quarter of Elders is on one of the little spires next to Ninjago City, like one of the little peninsulas. And all the cars are just, fair
enough.
Yeah.
I mean, we can agree, it kind of fell off near the end. But the first half is still strong enough to carry it.
I also think that tournament has a really unique like vibe to it, especially in the beginning. The music is very different, and like the whole mystery setup is very good.
Episode 1 is so good.
Yeah. So I put it
the invitation is such a good episode. I rewatch it an embarrassing amount.
I remember when it first came out. It aired early in Germany, I think, and they aired it as like one long special, and I was just like, "Whoa, this is so cool!"
It's such a good tone setter. Like it's one of the best. This and when we get to possession, I'll talk about it. Like the premieres were kind of like going off at this point. They were really getting their footing with this.
Now I will say, if we're being fair here, we all like tournament, but it did immediately undo the Zane sacrifice.
Okay, the thing with me, no, okay. It did, yes, but it also gave Zane a decent story out of it because, like, we learned he's.
I do agree.
The thing, well, we already knew that he lives in the rebooted finale, right?
Yeah,
so that's true. That's true.
And like, Tournament does a good job of like making sure we know that Zane did change because of this. Like,
and also
Zane had to go through this whole. They don't do a good job following up on it past this point, which kind of sucks. But like, Zane did go through like a whole like kind of crisis about his own humanity and whether or not he is the same person because
which I really like.
He's literally the ship of Theseus.
Like, it's really well done, and it's actually like really grounded and interesting, and like some good character work. And it's like the first time they're actually going back to doing good character stuff since season 1.
A lot of a lot of the main cast have really good stuff in Tournament in general. Like the whole Cole Jay rivalry was really good.
I cannot believe I literally forgot my favorite episode in the entire series is in this season.
Well, there you go.
Then Kai and
characters are getting arcs again now.
It's interesting no matter if you like how it ends or not. And Cole and Zane and like the Noodle Factory is also really fun.
Remember when they wrote like Cole
Lloyd and Sensei Garmadon is also so good. So I feel like every ninja has something really good going on.
I found the map, by the way.
Remember when they wrote Cole and Jay as being best friends?
I mean, they still do in Dragons Rising.
They do now. They retroactively now are going back and being like, okay, we should.
Dude, that map is funny.
So,
what am I looking at? Hold on.
So the jaw, like the two peninsulas, they make up the dragon's mouth.
Yeah.
That's what that, or that's not even what that is. That's like spines above the head. But that's like where the
trucks.
That's like where the floating ruins would probably have been. Is where the Quarter of Elders is.
That's so.
Oof.
And so, but like all of that's not the point. The point is that like all of the red dots are in the ocean right now.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. Like, what is happening on this map?
But they appeared like they were on land like earlier on the other side of the Quarter of Elders, driving trucks around for some reason.
I'm so confused. Okay, yeah, that is all.
It's weird.
I don't know. Tournament of Elements is really good. I'd say it's an A tier.
A tier for you? I also think A.
I would put it in A as well.
Really well. It has problems, but like none of them are like as
honestly
big
so
enough
far.
To really...
We have not had that crazy disagreements.
I think Rebooted was the biggest one so far.
Yeah.
I feel like just to bookend the Zane discussion, I'm willing to accept characters coming back. It's just like a me thing when there's like a visual change that kind of communicates a difference. And I'm thinking of like the Titanium Ninja. I'm thinking of Cole's like scar. Rest in peace. You know, it still comes back occasionally, but like stuff like that. I like that because it's a communicated difference that kind of helps you be like, they came back with like a cost, or they're not exactly the same as they were before.
I know a lot of people don't like the Pixel being like, I guess, Cortana AI assistant. I do think that added to the consequences of Zane's sacrifice, though. So I do think it was good for the time, but I'm glad they reversed it later.
It lasted way too long. Like,
I agree. All right.
Next up, Possession.
For the longest time, and if you go back and listen to Ninjago Cast, I really did not like Possession, and we commented on it a lot. Possession has aged very well, I think. I love it a lot.
I like it. I think it's good. It has some problems that bug me a lot, though.
Here's my thing on Possession.
I don't know if like it's mostly smaller stuff. But I don't know, like, it kind of impacts my overall view of the season.
I got a triple threat. As soon as you go first, Panda.
I was like, my general consensus on Possession is Winds of Change, the premiere, is like top tier Ninjago. One of the best episodes they've ever done. Like, just the entire vibe of it, the way it's directed, the music. It
the
is
music's
so
great in
good.
Possession.
I agree.
Everything after that is pretty good.
Okay, I'm gonna be honest. I
Be honest.
don't remember most of this season. Like I remember like the basic concepts and stuff, like ghosts and Nia gets water powers and yada yada.
Yeah.
But like I don't actually really remember anything. I must have only seen the season like maybe twice a
Oof.
long time
Oh,
ago. Yeah.
okay.
So because of that, like because it wasn't like super memorable, because I haven't actively gone back to rewatch it, for me it's gonna be like a neutral C.
That's fair. That's a fair take.
Yeah.
I feel like it introduced a lot of stuff similarly to Tournament that's still relevant today, and I feel like it deserves credit for that. The concept of Nia being the elemental master of water, the concept of the realms was
I
introduced.
mean, the realms were introduced in Tournament.
They were like
what-
built. They were more built upon.
Yeah.
In
we actually like learned the concept of the 16 realms and the realm crystal.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't
technically
remember
the realms are introduced in the pilots because of the underworld, but yeah.
Well,
technically, yeah. I feel like that's really important. I feel like, I mean, my bias will shine through, but Possession has like one of the best characters, Ronan, who I love, one of the best supporting characters,
Yeah.
who has a clearly defined like arc and an interesting dynamic. It is weighed down a bit by his introduction, which is pretty bad. Having to kind of like awkwardly reference like the game,
Yeah.
the fact that he's like a known character already, that's kind of weird. There's also a really strange thing that I feel like I'm the only one who really cares about this, but it always sticks out in my mind. They do a weird time jump midway through the season, and they show Ronan just kind of chilling on the bounty, and Nia has her suit now, and she's just
Yeah.
like in ninja training. And I feel like those are moments that I wish we had gotten to see, because I feel like getting a suit is like a big deal for her character, and it's kind of like off screened, as well as Ronan just being chill with everybody enough to be on the ship is just kind of off screened.
Yeah.
That's really strange to me, but preeminent, awesome.
No.
I
Cool. Bro.
I do have some problems. For example, I do not care at all for the whole tea house subplot.
But it's funny.
I really don't like Kai in this season. I know
Really?
like people are really into like, oh, he wants to protect Lloyd, whatever, but then
It's
he's
good.
like surprisingly stupid in the whole season, and he's like
Kai.
suddenly scared of water,
That's
which was
Kai.
never brought up before.
I think it made sense to me.
What's wrong with it though? I mean, it's a trope, but like fire guy doesn't like water. Like, all right.
Yeah, but it was never addressed before. Like they were in
Wasn't-
water
they've
so
never really
many
encountered-
times.
I mean,
Yeah, I don't know.
I
I
don't
can
know.
see how it does kind of come out of
And also
nowhere,
the
but
ghost
I-
being defeated by
Bother me
water
that
is a
much.
bit contrived, but
That was
I
something we always had beef with, but I think it was you who presented like a good explanation for it. I think it was maybe not, maybe it was somebody else, but I forget what it is now.
I don't know if it was
Maybe it was Haley. It's hard to say. Someone had a really good explanation about it being something like, oh, the ghosts can like pass through like solid
I
objects.
mean, that's what they say in the
but
show.
they
Yeah,
can't pass through that.
they
Like,
can't pass through something that's always moving.
and
but,
I feel like
air
I
is always
accept
moving.
that, bro.
Yeah, but air is less dense.
I guess.
Like fog might pose a problem.
Yeah,
And here's
I
another thing.
never cared about that too much.
That was always the biggest thing we talked about, like incessantly on the podcast way back when it was the water thing. But nowadays, I don't really care as much.
I feel like that's that's one of those things that I can just kind of be like, yeah, sure, that's how it works. I don't need to question the logic of that as long
Also-
as it's not like, as long as they don't forget it and they don't like every time
Big-
they touch water, they
Big
die.
point we
and
haven't addressed yet is Cloud
they keep it
Kingdom.
consistent. Okay, Cloud Kingdom. I'm so glad Dragons Rising fixed Cloud Kingdom.
Yeah, yes.
Because that was so I always hated that so much. I was like,
Yeah.
really?
But
This is
now
this
it's
is a
good.
thing. But now it's fine. They fixed it. So it's like
I love Nimbus.
the episode itself is good.
See, I
Another
kind of
big
feel the
thing
other
with
way
it.
around, where I don't mind the Cloud Kingdom concept that much, but I don't really like the episode that much.
I mean, the episode's kind of odd in some places, but
Yeah.
I don't know. I think this season for me is just like this season had such a strong start, and it has so many good concepts. Nia becoming the master of water, finally. The ghosts, Moro's whole backstory, and how like showing how Wu himself made mistakes in the past. This is the first time, or one of the first times they actually did something like that, so it wasn't overplayed. And it was like a good thing. Like it was a good way to do it, because it was like, yes, he had past students, and yes, he wasn't as like always a good mentor from the beginning. And it retroactively makes his actions in Rise of the Snakes and why he's always so upset with them when they're like trying to figure out the prophecy of the Green Ninja. It makes it like make more sense and adds more layers to previously established stuff. Like that's
cool
how you do
it ties
really
Moro to the Green Ninja prophecy.
Yeah,
that's like a really
yeah,
cool
like
way
adding
to do
backstory elements like that give added context to old character actions are like that's awesome. I love that.
He is a very effective villain.
But then for me, Moro, like the whole thing is like he's really cool in the first episode, but he's a tad bratty, you know, because he's like he's younger and he's like a little bratty kid. But as the season goes on, I feel like him just being a bratty kid just becomes the character to the point where I kind of start to take him less seriously. And then like it just becomes him and Lloyd like fighting in the end, and like it's just like I don't know. And then his whole thing where he's like, no, you can only save those who want to be saved after he just lost. It's just like I feel like they kind of lost the direction of Moro. I feel like he had a really strong introduction, a amazingly done backstory.
They lost the direction,
and they just kind of like
when he was just a puppet for a larger villain.
Yeah, I was about to ask, am I misremembering or forgetting something? But why did he actually like do whatever the preeminent?
He was just jealous. His main motivation was just trying to be like the Green Ninja and prove himself. And then like the whole idea is that
why unleash like the preeminent?
Can
you just possess Lloyd?
Exactly. I don't remember exactly what he wanted to accomplish.
Wasn't the preeminent giving him the power to manifest in the physical world again?
It might have been. It probably was. Yeah. And he had to repay his debt. I think it was like a repaying of the debt thing. But like the whole idea that they're trying to get across is that like, oh, Wu sees him when he's like about to die, and he's like giving him like, he's like telling him what he should have told him from the start and giving him reassurance. He's like, I could still trade you, like we could still be pals or whatever. And Moro's like, he sees that and he's like, I finally got the recognition I wanted my whole life, and then he dies or whatever. But it's like, I don't know. I don't know what. I still can never pinpoint.
He's still a ghost, right?
I still can't pinpoint exactly what it is that I don't like about it, but it doesn't work for me. The whole somewhat half kind of redemption thing, sacrificing himself at the end because he finally got what he wanted all along, just to be noticed by his master. It's just like,
bro, really?
It doesn't work for me. I kind of agree. I think Moro is kind of overrated. Like,
I like the finale a lot in Possession, and I do think I don't think it's a redemption arc. I feel like that's maybe the misunderstanding. Like, there's no world where Moro trains with Wu and becomes part of the ninja team, right? He's a ghost, and the ghost realm is disappearing.
Well, the idea is that Wu would be like, I could still save you. Like, there's still time. I could still right my past mistakes. Like,
yeah, I feel like that's
as long as you recognize, like, you're not the Green Ninja.
Speaking.
Yeah. But like, that's what triggers Moro to be like, oh, yeah, that was my motive. All right, see ya.
I think it was more of an accepting defeat, like gracefully thing. Like Moro's like a bratty kid, and then he like kind of gives up.
It's like, that's why I say it's like a half redemption. It's like he kind of redeems himself in a way, but not fully. He just kind of like gives up. But like, it doesn't. That moment doesn't leave an impact on me personally.
Well,
in the same way it leaves an impact on a lot of other
I
people.
feel that people, because I wouldn't say it was a redemption, but Day of the Departed makes it a redemption.
Yeah.
So we'll get there when we get there, but you know, it does kind of, you have to treat it as that because that's what it is, and it's not effective when you look at it through that lens. I agree.
One big thing we haven't addressed yet is the Cole ghost subplot too.
I mean, really funny because like
it happened.
It was a thing. I feel very neutral about it.
I
Same.
forget that it happens, even though like I remember I really liked it when it was a thing. That was like my favorite thing about Possession. I was like, oh, Cole became a ghost. Isn't that so cool?
It was a weird choice that could have gone somewhere, but ultimately did not.
I feel like looking back on it, it was literally just like, how can we sell Cole minifigs more?
Make them
Like Zane's a robot, so it makes him like kids want to buy the cool robot guy. So how do we make this guy more like? How do we make him more appealing to the market?
I think it's more
Make him a
like
ghost.
it's like we need another like sacrifice. Who's the most expendable character?
It just feels like something they threw in the story. That's another thing about this season. It has one of the best things about this season is that it has like the core dynamic between the Maven 4 Ninja that we haven't really seen since like the Green Ninja episode, which I really like. But a lot of this season, it also makes it a lot of this season is just kind of them going on separate adventures with like self-contained episodes, which is fine. But like, I feel like it would have been better if like more character stuff was happening during these moments. Like all you really get is like, oh, Kai is worried for Lloyd, and sometimes they face off against Moro. But it just feels like this random like chase that's just dragged out across the season that doesn't have an overarching like character stuff to like make it feel like things are progressing.
I feel like if we go down that
Besides just
rabbit
the plot.
hole, a lot of the seasons can be criticized for that. I feel like Ninjago abandons its character arc stuff and doesn't really do them most.
I can think of a few seasons that are like that, but I can also think of a few that still have these kind of like fetch questy plot, like side quest adventures, and still get character work throughout. I don't know. This season's just weird to me. I think I still like it. Like I think it's a pretty good season. I just like I don't vibe with Moro as much as I'd like to, given how much I enjoyed his presence in the first episode especially. And I just like I don't know. The season just doesn't get me super invested in any of the character stuff it tries to do. I love the world building. I love the adventures and the fun like banter and stuff. But it's just like I don't know.
I'd put it in B behind Rise of the Snakes. Personally,
I feel that Possession.
Yeah,
I mean, I would put it in A below Tournament.
Really?
I feel Possession is very good. I feel it did just as much for the franchise as Tournament did. I feel like Moro's a little bit of a better villain than Shin.
Wrong.
No.
I feel like I feel how you guys feel about Moro about Shin. I feel like he's just kind of funny. He's not that threatening.
Chen
yes,
has
but he's
really
very
good
funny.
scenes where the thing about Chen is the way he manipulates the tournament and the way he's able to easily just like get things going back in his favor and like crowd please and do all these like things, and it's just fun to watch him like get up to these antics, and then everything catches up to him and he ends up falling.
He became way less threatening when he achieved his goal, and I feel like that's always
that is for sure a problem.
Whereas
I mean, like for Moro too. Like
but Moro just slowly becomes less interesting.
Moro also isn't the main like villain. He's almost like a red herring. He's like a personal villain for the ninja to set up this world-threatening preeminent.
Which is there for
villain.
like 2 episodes.
Yeah.
Who is like?
I feel like Moro's more the villain than the preeminent.
Yeah, I feel like Moro's.
I feel like the
Moro's
preeminent
still
has
doing
good
stuff in the
spectacle.
preeminent.
So, do we want to
know.
do a poll with A and B?
Sure.
Or Josh, what are your thoughts? Josh Purple, you haven't said your rating yet.
Purple wanted it to be in C.
Oh,
yeah,
okay.
no, this is very like I don't remember the season, and if I'm being honest, it was like the stuff they did with like Nia and turning her into a ninja felt a little forced to me. Like
At
it
the
felt kind
time,
of like
I felt that way too. For me, it was like, no, she worked for being the Samurai X. She should be her own thing.
Right.
But nowadays,
yeah,
it
like
makes
nowadays
They've
it's fine.
that.
But
They've addressed that enough to the point
Yeah,
where it's
I
like-
agree.
yeah, but it's like
They've
nowadays is
retroactively
what
made
they
it
could have
better.
started with.
I don't know. And then we also have to talk about Lloyd. You know, this season set him on his character path that is only just now being realized. But it was
Yeah.
Possession that did it.
No, this season was literally the one to be like, Lloyd is the sensei now. He's the master, and it just
Then they derailed it massively.
completely
No,
derailed it.
I don't think they set it up here. Rebooted
They
kind
did.
of sets it up already.
And it's like the thing is the setup for that though in the season is literally just the ninja being like, oh, okay, none of us are good enough to lead the team. We really need Lloyd. We never should have underestimated him. And then they get Lloyd back, and the Lloyd fights Moro, and he's like, I'm the Green Ninja because I'm the chosen one.
Well,
and
it was
Moro's
also
like,
meeting his
but
dad.
it should have
but, like,
been me. And Lloyd's like, no, but you're evil, so it can't be you.
I'm
Lloyd
God's
having-
favorite.
Okay.
Lloyd having that closure conversation with Garmadon and getting his robes that like
Yeah,
kinda
that was
sparked
good. I liked
But
that
I do
a
think
lot.
that they already worked towards that in Rebooted with the whole Lloyd and Garmadon, where they journey through the
I don't know.
mountains and stuff.
I don't feel that was about him becoming a master. I think that was them just repairing their relationship.
I mean, no, it was about him like realizing the powers of being the ultimate Spinjitzu master and the golden power.
But then he loses that power.
Yeah, and he
Yeah,
gives it
I
up because he feels he's not ready for it, basically.
That's fair. But then he never gets it back.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's like this whole it's this thread that I feel like was building up to this moment and of him getting like the master robes and being the master, and then the next season they just don't even address it. So it's like, I don't know. It's weird.
So,
And
do
I
we
don't
want to
think
do a poll with A, B, and C?
we probably should.
It's up to
Let's-
you guys.
Let's do it.
All right, first
Let's
poll
do
of
it.
the day.
First poll of the day.
Wait, how do I do this?
Rail rocket. So does Garmadon have Lloyd's suit when Lloyd got here?
I don't want to question the whole
The
process
question-
of that.
No, the real question is, how did he get the robes off when his hands are chained?
Yeah.
Oh god.
A.
Oh
Yeah,
yeah,
no, I
this,
feel
this
like
is also the
that's
season
important.
where Nia killed a whole realm of people.
Yes.
That was pretty
Oh
cool.
yeah, dude.
Actually,
doesn't she
two,
still
but
have
she
like
doesn't
the
know
highest
about
body
that.
count or something?
She
Yeah.
does. Yeah, no, Nia's
Yeah, we don't know how
These
many.
I don't
pretty
think I don't think
her
anybody
kills.
else has killed. Well, yeah, that is true, but I don't think that's. Well, it's possible, maybe.
Yeah.
I don't know
Let's
how
see.
many cursed souls were in the preeminent.
Alright, everybody, the poll is up. Go vote. I'm gonna vote too, because I can.
Okay, cool.
What do we? I did want to bring something up. Possession we forgot about, but I forgot about it.
What? What
You can remember. I believe in you.
was
there's
it
at
about a
least one.
character? About the
think
story, about the lore? I feel like if it was you, it would probably be the lore.
No, I think it was something character.
Yeah, how'd they mess up the lore?
Oh no, wait! It was
They retcon.
kind of lore centric. The whole reflection thing is also in possession.
Oh,
Oh,
my
you're
God.
right.
Reflections.
Oh my
Dude,
God.
That was the worst thing that ever happened. That was
I
like
still think about that scene.
Do
That's the
you?
one thing that's the one thing I remember.
this is still a thing that like is relevant. I feel.
I
like.
remember
I
I asked
patched
Tommy
it.
about it, and like I think like around the time Crystallized came out, so when he was about to leave, basically, and he said like, yeah, it's still intended to be true.
What?
So I wonder if they're
It's
ever
still, like-
gonna stick the landing.
mean,
with
We
that.
will
No,
always.
Here's the
This is gonna
thing.
be the whole Nia and Jay thing for the rest of time.
No,
It's
I'm just gonna
like-
say this. All right. Here's the thing. Hands of Time changed it. Boom. Done.
Sure.
Maybe.
Okay.
You
My-
know.
The
my-
thing is, I will
So
say.
my understanding or the way I thought about it was always that it's symbolic only. So it's gonna like it shows that Kai and Zane become some kind of masters. Jay and Nia end up together, which they do in Skybound. And with the eye patch also, I thought that foreshadows Skybound. Even though Jay doesn't have it long term, and then Cole disappearing is just Day of the Departed.
Jay not
So-
getting the eye patch still hurts me to this
Yeah.
day.
Okay.
I'm one of those people.
All right,
agree.
so
I
we
will
have-
say,
Oh,
as
go
a good segue into Skybound, like that scene, I think was a decent catalyst for Jay, like Jay's arc in Skybound.
yeah, I think it was.
That's
a
like the
cool
one
setup,
good thing
too.
about it. I feel like it was a good setup. It was a good connecting like thread that would later point into this character motivation that would cause him to go on a whole arc for it. So
Poll results are 37% A, 56% B, 7% C. So B wins. But now
Let's
I
go.
have a feeling I'm the only one who would put it above the Rise of the Snakes.
I would
So
put it
yeah, it's
below.
below. It's below.
RFP.
Rip,
I mean, that's still not a
rip your
bad rating.
dreams.
No, I'll take it.
Above neutral.
I'll take it. Because if you had asked me of like 7 years ago, I would have put Possession in like D. but I feel like it's aged well for me. I like it a lot. Speaking of things that have aged weirdly,
Skybound.
What?
F. What?
F.
No.
F.
That's not
Wow.
fair.
That's messed up, Purple. Why do you
fine.
say that?
It can be a high F. Dude, this
The
season
thing is,
We don't have anything in F yet.
The thing is, I get it. I understand.
Speak your mind, Purple. Why F?
This is literally the season that killed my interest in the entire show.
Really?
Yeah, it just like, I mean, you know, the freaking like gender stuff just ticked me off so
I mean, it makes
badly,
sense,
and
yeah.
it kept happening over and over. It was like repeat offenses the season,
Yeah,
and it's
bad.
like, okay, if you don't like, if you want to teach people about like, you know, how to respect women, that's fine, but you have to actually like, you know, provide good examples of it. And I feel like it's just a lot of, hey, here's a lot of bad examples, don't do that. And it's like
So, is your issue about more how people treat Nia, or is it more of like an issue of like how Nia is written? Would you say? Because a lot of people really think highly of how she's written in this season. I know, like back when Haley was around, the discussion we often had was that Nia has the most consistent through line of the entire show, and that Skybound was a piece about her like making decisions for herself, and how that's like really core to her character, and is the only reason why her sacrifice in Seabound has any impact is because like that importance was set up in Skybound.
I don't know. I agree that I agree that Nia has the most like seamless through line of the show. I think she has like the best character arc if you consider like spanning over the course of multiple seasons. I think Skybound is kind of a bump in the road, though. I think Skybound is because the thing is, Nia has a really great arc throughout the show that culminates in Seabound, and why one of the reasons I think Seabound is so good. But it's like if I were to say that was like a seamless, like there's no bumps in the road, I feel like I'd just be lying at that point. Like,
I feel like
there are
major
bumps in the road, and I think
Rebooted.
Skybound is kind of Rebooted's one, Skybound's one, and the Ice Chapter is one.
Yeah.
But like what part, because like, okay, we need to specify here about like the role of like of women and such, and how like they're treated. I feel like Nia got a bad rap because of the early parts of the season, where she's like being kind of like weird to like Jay, you know, and like kind of, you know, and Jay's being weird in return. You know, like he's really pushy. He's trying to like win her as like a prize. And then she's like kind of turning her nose up at him. And it's weird because like they obviously did have like a romantic thing.
Yeah.
So I remember we as viewers way back then were like, where did that go? Why are they writing like Jaya like this? Like she did like him at one point and they liked her. But I feel like later on in the season, in the lighthouse scene, is where it kind of makes sense.
I think that's the
where
I think it's the opposite. I think the lighthouse is where it falls apart.
Really?
Because okay, this is the thing. Nia and Jay at the start of the season are both kind of not the best for their own separate reasons, and I think it's you know it's by design because both of them are gonna have to have arcs across the season. Jay specifically, I think, is like the biggest jerk at the start. Correct. Which makes sense because he has the biggest growth over the whole season, and he learns a lot about not being like a selfish idiot and like not making rash decisions and doing all this stuff. And it's like it's coming from both his traits as like a character beforehand because he's like the goofy comedy guy, and then also his relationship with Nia, and he has to learn a lot through that. And I think that's all well and good. But with Nia's, it gets to a point where it's like, yes, this is great. She has to learn to make her own choices and all this stuff. And she wants to have her own choice. And that's the whole thing because she's like, I was forced to become the water ninja. I'm like, everybody thinks like we're a thing and all that kind of stuff. But then you get to the point where it's like, they're in the lighthouse. They're like at the, like, they're like literally holding the door closed, like about to get captured. And Nia, like, I guess the implication is Nia makes the choice that she does want to be with Jay in the end.
Yes, that
but
is
like,
what I took from it.
I don't you lose me
Yeah,
at like
like-
the when was that decision made and why, and like 2 seconds ago Nia was just being like, I need time to figure this out. I don't even know what I want yet, but I just having the choice to choose, that's all I care about.
Yeah, I'll be honest, a lot of my problems with Skybound have to do with the way Jaya has been written just throughout the series, because it always just felt like they kind of shoehorned them together because, oh, Nia is girl and Jay is single.
You are right. That is what they do.
And I think if they had, like, at any point before this, shown them just actually, like, being, like, a silly, cute couple and, like, having a reason to actually date each other.
Right.
Like, I know that, like, technically there was episode 8 where, like, they go on a date and there were, like, some silly moments in that, but, like, literally, I can name the one time they seem to like each other.
I
It's
think
like,
the
you shouldn't be
problem
able to do
is
that.
They kind of like finished that story in season 1, and then they had to mix it up with the love
Yeah, they had to like
triangle.
unravel it and then retie it
Which
back
is-
together.
And again, it's not a defense, but like that is every character. Every character goes through that. Every one of them
Yeah.
in their
They
own
didn't do
way.
a good job of like they could. I'm fine with Jay and Nia getting back together, but the way it was done was so forced in favor of Jay getting what he wanted, and completely.
Yeah.
Like, it literally just says, "Oh yeah, Jay, all the like things that you were like jerky things that you were doing over the course of the season." It just kind of proves him right, and it's like, okay, sure, I guess that doesn't seem like that should have been the outcome at this point in time. Maybe later after the fact when Jay finishes his arc. But like Nia's whole choice shouldn't also be in service of what Jay's story is supposed to be doing. So it's like I don't know. I feel like no matter what way you spin it, it doesn't sit with me perfectly. It's just I get what they were going for. I just don't think they really nailed it on the head in the way that it's supposed to come across. And I think it makes Jay's arc work in the end of the day, but it makes Nia's arc suffer for it, and her
Yeah, and
choices
it's
don't
just
feel as
like-
important as they should have been.
When you only have like one chick in the main cast, then errors become a lot more like noticeable and egregious
Yeah.
and stuff. Like if, half the ninja were girls and, like if Zane was a girl or something, then the faults with Nia would be way less like serious because, girl Zane got a whole season. Cool. Yeah. I don't know.
Yeah.
I feel like the thing that the puzzle piece that kind of like makes it fit would have been if they emphasized more of the ninja are famous angle, because that's where it all starts. And but they do it so briefly and it's just gone.
I mean,
that's
it's
the
very
angle.
important for
it's
the whole
tabloid,
Naracon framing them for stuff.
It's the
Totally
tabloid gossip nature of it, and it's why Nia pushes back so much, and why Jay is like so confused and he starts to make like bad decisions. It's because of that. It's about like public pressure.
It's the pressure of that
and like
also the
societal
pressure
expectations.
Because her whole thing is she doesn't feel like she has her own choice in what
She's
she
so
chooses to do.
stubborn. She will go to the opposite of
Yeah.
what she actually wants just because other people are like trying to
But
do
it's
it
also
for her.
it's
And
not
I find that
clearly-
interesting.
I don't think it's clearly established enough that like what like Nia actually wants before she makes the choice.
No,
So it
it's
comes
not.
off as confusing. Because it's like, does Nia actually like Jay or not? Because there's a lot of reasons I could think that Nia would have like rightfully not like him anymore, especially after a
Correct.
lot of the events of the season. So it's like, should I be celebrating that she likes him again, or should I be like, maybe not? I don't know. It's just
No, trust me, I get it. I'm not like
it doesn't.
I don't like Jaya. I think they're like not good for the show.
OMG, same.
That's the thing with Skybound is like, I feel like a lot of the stuff in that department is just really flimsy and not as thought out as it should have been, especially
Yeah.
given the subject matter. But there's also a lot of other stuff about Skybound that I really, really, really like. So it makes it hard for me to like distinct like what should I
Pirates! Nanacon's gang of
Like-
pirates are the best. They're so fucking cool, and I love them.
I love
so
Clancy so much.
much.
Clancy's
I
my
love
number one.
Doubloon, Dog
Balloon's
Shank,
cool.
Flint, and Flintlock.
Flintlock. I love
Also, Ronin's really cool in Skybound.
Ronin's really cool
Yeah.
in Sentences there.
Wait till we get to the island.
I think if we were to talk about Nauticon, I feel like he's kind of just an embodiment of my feelings on Skybound, where I'm like, there's some really dumb writing here.
Yeah.
That I really don't like, and it makes no sense.
I will
But then
forever...
also, he's just so cool.
I will forever be mad about the Zane chess scene. Like, it makes no sense. He totally outsmarted him, and then he just, like...
The whole, like, oh, you have to hit them with the blade to go, to wish them away. Or, no. You have to, like, wish them away forcefully. But then also it's revealed later that if you just hit them with the blade, then they will go into it. So it's like, why is Nauticon even doing this?
To be fair, I always saw that as Nauticon's very likes to outsmart people.
But he gets into positions where he literally has to like do things like force Clancy to make wishes for him. Like they run out of wishes. So at that point, why not just use the blade? You're like, it's like, I don't know. And then the whole thing of like Jay's final wish technically shouldn't even work because it's 2 wishes. Because he says, like, I wish, like, you took my hand and nobody found the teapot.
Oh, no!
So it's like... but he was poisoned. That means he can't do rational
all these things are, like... all these things, it's like, Nauticon is presented as a super smart and intelligent villain who can, like, use his words to get anything he wants. But then he also does some of the stupidest things, like, any Ninjago villain has ever done.
That's also kind of my problem with Nauticon, is that they present him as the super smart character who outsmarts everyone, but if you look at how he outsmarts people, it either makes them look very stupid or it's very contrived in some weird way.
But the thing is, like, there's some brilliant scenes with him and like Jay and stuff, and like I feel like a lot of the dialogue is really well done, and how he like
the voice acting carries.
Yeah, the voice acting is so good, and his like breakdown when the mutiny starts happening, and he's like screaming at all his henchmen about how he's like they would be nothing without him. Like there's such good stuff in there.
He is one of my favorite villains still to this day. But if I am being fair, I do feel like there's an issue, and the issue is he had a really interesting character motivation and the start of his story with Ninjago. And I feel they moved away from that too much and too fast.
I think
to this day, I don't think Nia even knows that she was responsible for Ninjago, and that's like that's a criminal to me. That should have been something she learned in that season.
I do think
I don't know.
I do like that he kind of goes power crazy and loses sight of his original goal, but I do think the way it's presented, it's not very clear like how that happens.
I feel like you're left to infer yourself whether or not that was always his true personality and he was just like, lying to his crew and whatnot, or if that was something that kind of happened to him over time. And I don't really like that. I feel like it should be clearly established, like, no, he did like his crew and, he was genuine.
It sucks because he had such a good like motivator for like wanting to bring Ninjago back, and that scene was so like good of him like earning the blade from his father as like he's watching his whole realm crumble around him, and like that's when he swears vengeance on like the ninja, and he wants to
he's straight up a sympathetic villain.
But then like it just derails into him being like, nah, I just want infinite power.
Also, the whole Delara thing is super weird.
And Delara's. That's just uncomfortable.
So creepy.
It's pretty creepy.
Yeah.
Purple, were those the main reasons why you wanted to put it in an F?
Yeah, what was your question again? I feel like we got distracted.
It was just like when you talk about like treatment of women, are you talking about like what Jay did, or like how Nia was written? Because I feel like those are two separate things. You know what I mean? Yeah,
I'm leaning more towards like how the other characters treated her, partially because I don't 100% remember like all the concrete details of the season.
Yeah.
But I also feel like because the characters, treated her like weirdly, like Dareth in that first episode, like, dude.
Yeah.
That was like, there was no reason for that.
You are right.
Like, what are you doing? And it's like, okay, they're just kind of shoehorning this. They're not like, putting a lot of effort into something that's actually extremely personal for a lot of people. Like, there really are not a lot of like action shows, especially like kids ones, where like there's our girls and they do something. Like, I
Yeah,
feel like it's
no,
gotten better in recent years. Like, Steven Universe is like actually pretty good with that. But like, I don't know, it's like my favorite show acknowledging something that I am and then just like being like crappy about it. Just like
That's a
felt
good
really
point.
bad.
Acknowledging the
like-
issue, but then doing nothing to like actually like spread a positive message.
Yeah.
Yeah.
about
I
it.
mean,
It's
they're,
just
they're,
like,
they're
hey-
trying to do an arc about like how like women are treated and how people like pigeonhole them into like certain roles, but then also the season ends with a damsel in distress,
Yeah.
forced
Wedding.
wedding
Literally.
subplot.
Like,
It's like
why?
It seems tone deaf.
God. Yeah, nah, just
I get you.
yeah.
I don't think it's like the worst. But I mean, I'm not gonna say it's the best either. It definitely hasn't like aged as well as I hoped it would. I mean, way back when on Ninjago Cast, we were complaining about it because of the time travel like ending that makes the whole season not matter. And now that seems almost like a footnote. Like
Yeah,
we haven't even mentioned it.
Dude,
I
I
never cared about that,
remember
honestly.
I remember predicting that ending because I recognized the title of the episode, The Wayback Machine, as like a reference to freaking what was it, Mr. Peabody and Sherman or something? Because that
Nice.
movie had like just come out and I had like just seen it.
That's
I was like, oh, they're just gonna time travel this, aren't they?
Bro, that's so funny. Yeah, like I mean, we used to complain like crazy about that, but nowadays, like I mean, there are
I
worse
don't mind
problems.
that much. Yeah.
Yeah, I never really cared about that. I always thought the conclusion was always
I just feel it's
It worked.
it's a lingering problem that still like creeps in nowadays. That's all about like the Jin lore should be known.
I think like
that's all.
my biggest issue with the Skybound time travel is that we're at a point where there's a mural and the ninjas still are supposed to not know about it. Like that makes no sense.
It's supposed to be just Jay and Nia, but like it's inferred that they told everyone else about it. I
Yep.
don't know.
Is it?
But it's not really.
Kind of.
That's the weird
I
part.
mean, yeah. I don't know. This,
Whatever. We can
this
move on.
season's so
Yeah,
weird.
but we have to
'Cause
rank it.
Yeah, I used to love this season so much, and then over time it just aged worse and worse and worse. And now it's like
Aw.
I think it's pretty good, but like, yeah, I mean, I'd still put it in like B tier.
I feel like the pirates carry it.
I've always been kind
Yeah.
of split on Skybound, and I'm still.
I think the pirates
very
carry
hard
it.
for
I
me
think
to
the
rank it.
J character arc carries
I
it.
feel like we've gotta just. I mean, as much as we all might have issues with it, I mean, I do think it's better than like the pilots and Rebooted.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
I think it's
But
better
I
than
think it's
Possession.
worse than Possession.
I would agree. I think it should be at the tail, and like whatever we do in B, whatever else we put in B, we should probably put Skybound at the end of B.
All right, I'm willing to go along with that because I understand why. I have some bias for this season. I'll admit.
Okay.
You're
I have
allowed.
bias against it, so we can meet in the middle.
Yeah, there you go.
All right. This next one I feel is pretty easy.
Day of the Departed?
Well, I mean, yeah.
Day of the Departed.
I forgot Day of the Departed was here.
Yeah, Day of the Departed.
Yeah, I consistently forget it exists.
I mean, listen, like,
Which
I
is
mean,
kind of the point of the story.
I'm Day of the Departed is one of the worst pieces of Ninjago content.
I don't think it's offensively bad though.
I think it's
I agree with
offensively
Ben.
bad.
Actually, I'm gonna make a case for Day of the Departed. Actually,
Do it. Fight. This is the fight we've been waiting
I'm
for.
gonna make a case for why it belongs in D and not F. Okay,
E?
D, not B.
Oh,
I
okay,
would,
yeah.
I would never put it in B. Okay, the one thing I like about Day of the Departed is the climax between Yang and Cole.
Yeah, the one good
Yes.
part. The
The
5
one
good
good
minutes
part.
out of 44 minutes.
The 5 minutes that keeps it above crystallized level to being in like final battle level. Because to me, I think genuinely Cole sympathizing with Yang in the end is a really strong showing of like who his character would later be defined as in like Master of the
agree.
Mountain.
Mhm.
And like him that being the moment where he like unlocks his powers and like unlocks his I mean, I still don't understand the lava arms. I don't think we ever will. But like the fact that like this is the gateway from Cole like feeling like he's literally lost his place in the team to the point where he feels invisible to feeling seen and then like reciprocating those like emotions and being like, we could like get through this together. I could help you. And then Yang at the end of the day realizing that he still has a place and that he still did wrong enough to by himself make the choice to not go through the rift and let Cole pass through. I don't know. I think that's a good climax. I think they did a good job there.
I also think
it was a really good. It would be a really good short movie on YouTube.
But
if it was just
there's also
minutes.
40 other minutes of it.
Are we considering Chinese Day of the Departed because it has the funny Moro gif?
I don't even want to talk. Like, no, let's not consider that.
Jokes aside, though, I think Day of the Departed also has kind of what we mentioned with Tournament and Possession, that it has very cool vibes. And
I guess
I also think it's maybe not fair to compare it like in the same way to seasons because
the thing
it's a
is,
40-minute special.
I think we reserve F for like actually like terrible, like offensively bad pieces of Ninjago that messed up other previous iterations or like
I agree
things
with Ben,
that though,
Day of the Departed does not harm anything outside of it.
Yeah, basically. It's like harmless. In fact, I think it helps make Master of the Mountain be better in the long run by a little sliver. That's my defense towards it.
I don't know, man. Every single scene of the ninja fighting older villains was awful, and I would say it is like it's genuinely horrible. Like Chin, like I don't even want to think about like the chair having like built-in weapons, but it's just like a statue. Cryptor having like a soul.
Does this stuff really matter that
Pythor falling off a cliff and Lloyd looking over the cliff and being like, he's gone. And then he just
the Pythor stuff does genuinely actually kind of hurt Tournament of Elements. Like like go against Tournament of Elements a little bit. I'll say that. Because Pythor's like the only one that's actually like the real, guy there, and he's like actively just going against everything he learned in that season immediately, which contributes to him being a villain again later.
I don't even care about him being like a villain or whatever. I just think it's about him being like smart. He's supposed to be the smart one.
Yeah, and it did mischaracterize him pretty well or pretty bad. So I don't know. I don't think this is like F.
Yeah, I don't think it's
worthy.
I would watch. I mean, spoilers, but I would watch Hands of Time easily over Day of the Departed, and I feel like Hands of Time has more good moments that you can point to.
Name one, I can't think of any.
I mean, is that fair? Like, if you say, yeah, of course Hands of Time might have more moments, but it's like, I don't know, 4 times the runtime, right?
I will agree that it is difficult to rank
So
specials.
if you say, like, the good moment density, I feel like it's not really better.
Fair. Honestly, I mean, I'm not going to die on the hill for F if people are feeling D.
I think the 5-minute climax of this is better than anything Hands of Time had to offer.
It also has a really good soundtrack.
Yes,
it does have a really good soundtrack. But I don't get to. If I was giving that many points for soundtrack, then my opinions on that.
I think though that the soundtrack accompanied by that scene of them all like remembering their.
You know what? Yeah, that combined with the climax already puts it above like.
That's kind of what I meant with the vibes earlier, like the soundtrack and that scene at the end.
That too.
And also, I kind of think like, how do I say this? I kind of like what they do with the side characters and how it adds to the overall world building of like the Day of the Departed as like an event in the Ninjago universe.
Yeah. This was back when we had like characters like Ed and Endan, Ronan, and Gareth actually showing up consistently.
May they rest in peace. What was your vote, Purple?
I don't really remember this one all too much, so it's kind of a neutral for me.
Okay. If people want it in D, I will not contest it. I have very low regard for this and other things later that shared the same runtime. But
I'd say D, but behind the final battle.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
So,
I'll agree.
Definitely.
Let's do that for now.
Okay.
Next up, Hands of Time.
Easy.
Boy.
I mean, do we even really have to discuss it?
Everybody just say F here.
I feel like if there's an F, then that's Hands of Time.
Easy.
We don't even need to talk about it.
Easy F. I mean, just
We
for
should still
cursory's
talk about
sake.
it, but
I mean, I feel like it's well trodden ground, you know.
Yeah.
Like it's poorly produced, it's poorly written. There's even parts where like it's weirdly voice acted.
Crux and
It
Chronics are
full
so
of-
annoying.
Full of plot holes. This is Cyrus Borg watch, but no Cyrus Borg.
Zane just standing around for like 3 episodes.
Slightly upsetting because I feel like the season genuinely had a solid core of like the time twins versus Kai and Nia and the dichotomy between them, but it doesn't explore it in the slightest, so I can't even get
Also,
credit for that.
the whole premise is based on like the whole "oh my gosh, is Kai's dad a traitor" thing, which only works
Oh
because
my
of
God.
a retcon into the pilots where they add like the weird symbol on the wall.
Yeah.
I don't like that at all.
The symbols they plagiarized from Avatar: The Last Airbender.
Oh, yeah.
Oh my god, I forgot about that.
Never forget.
I mean, Ray and Maya are cool. I'm glad they're in the show.
Ray and Maya are cool
Mostly
in
'cause of
Seabound.
Seabound, but like, I don't know. They could have been more excitingly introduced. I like the idea of Kyle. I do genuinely enjoy
Kyle.
the idea of. I genuinely do enjoy the idea of Kai being like really upset at the idea of his parents being evil and like being so desperate to get answers, and Nia being the one to be kind of more
Yeah, it's a
rational
cool
and be like, okay,
concept,
let's slow
but-
down, let's think about this.
What's
But
the
it's not
execution?
done
Kai
very
walking
well. It's
around
not
with a
done very
helmet
well.
and being
Yeah,
grumpy.
it's like the ideas here are fine, and it has like a decent enough skeleton. It's just so underdeveloped and underbaked that it's just like nothing here works.
My whole
Also-
shtick was way back when that I hate time travel, and I think it says something about how bad this season is that the time travel is one of the things I had the least amount of problems
It's
with.
barely about time travel. It's like about time travel in the last episode, and that's it.
Someone brought up in the YouTube chat the Samurai X thing starts in Hands of Time as well, which I think
Yep.
is a cool thing they did. But I think that the parts of it that are in Hands of Time aren't that good.
Yeah,
Where
good
it's
idea,
like
bad
with the different
execution.
voices and like who could it be? Everyone knows it's
Yeah.
Pixel.
Yeah.
Really, really stupid scene. Really stupid scene.
And another thing is like usually I do like the villain side characters a lot. I really do not like Rag Monk and Makia and all the
no.
even though I really like the Vermilions as a concept, but I do not like the characters.
Hands
I
of
think it's-
Time, it just
I think
really.
it's-
Go ahead.
I think it's funny how the Vermilion are a hive mind, but the ninja were still able to like dress up as them and sneak in.
Yeah, that made no sense.
Like, really, we can talk about the flaws for like hours. It really shows that it was just kind of a bunch of scrapped ideas from another
Yeah.
property
And
that
I
they
mean-
needed to awkwardly reuse in the TV show. Like
It
it
is-
is felt.
It has a
Um,
reason why it is the way it is. It's not like
Yeah.
out of nowhere.
It doesn't excuse it, but it's perfectly like I get why it exists how it does. It's an anomaly. There will never be anything quite like it again. I hope. So
I hope.
let's go ahead and move along.
Sons of Garmadon.
A.
Yes.
S.
I like this
A.
first S.
Yes.
S.
Hey,
Yeah, I'm good with A or S. It's just a good season.
it has flaws
if
that
we're
people
going,
do
like-
not talk about.
It has
Yeah.
flaws. Okay,
No, it doesn't
has
anyway.
flaws.
I mean, is there a season
Okay,
that
like-
doesn't have flaws?
But if we're talking
Um,
like game change, like season
This is
changing.
why it's third.
or
This is why it's my
changing.
third favorite season and not my favorite.
Yeah, it's not my favorite, but it's S for me.
I think Sons of Garmadon is like really, really good at the tone and the vibe it tries to set. It tells the story it wants to. It goes places that the show hadn't gone before.
Yeah.
There are pitfalls because of it. I think my biggest hot take is that I don't think Harumi was handled the best. I think
I
Game of
agree.
Masks is peak for like
Yeah.
75% of the runtime.
Yep.
And I think it kind of falls off a little
That
bit
is-
near the
that
end.
is one of my biggest problems as well. I feel like this season has the tournament effect, where the
I
last
don't-
like 3
I-
episodes are not as good.
But
I don't think it ruins the amazing stuff for me.
I think what helps Sons of Garmadon with that is that yes, it goes a bit downhill after Game of Masks, but it's not the end. Because Hunted is like a direct continuation.
Yeah. And
If
also,
if the ninja had won at the end, it would have been way too rushed. But
Yeah,
exactly.
I'll agree. We got a super chat, $4.99 from World of Cars Entertainment. I want to say one thing about HOT. I enjoyed Nia and Kai's dynamic. We rarely get that. And the episode where they retrieve their reversal blade was fun. I did very much love the episode where they fight together and then call each other brother and sister. That was peak. No, I'm kidding.
I actually I like the dynamic, but yeah, the fight itself was not that good if you compare it to like what we have.
The dynamic had
nowadays,
potential.
especially. Yeah. I do
Here's
think
the
they
thing.
should do more with Kai and Nia.
Sons of Garmadon. It's not just that Harumi kind of loses her nuance and goes like full psycho mode at the end. And I mean, like I've said this many times. I know you guys don't feel as strongly. Mr. E was not
He's
it.
the best character S tier.
Mr. E.
Mr.
Mr. E.
Thank you for mentioning Mr. E S tier. Okay, next up.
I need someone to explain like the appeal of Mr. E because honestly, like I don't entirely get it either. He's literally
He
just
looks
there.
cool. He has the coolest fight scenes. He looks very cool, and he has the coolest fight scenes.
And he also
And he's
looks
an
very
android.
cool.
You guys are just simping. Is that it?
Basically,
Maybe.
more or less. Like,
Purple
okay,
will remember this.
Mr. E would have been the coolest character if he was Echo Zane.
No, because
But
his name
no,
is
that would've
Mr.
ruined
E,
it.
so he should be a mystery forever.
But what about Mr. F?
Yeah, we don't know about him either, so it's fine.
Like,
They dodged a huge bullet with him not being a Kozan, in my opinion.
I mean, it
I
would have definitely
actually-
worsened the quality of the season if they had shoehorned that subplot
Yes.
in. But I don't think they should have kept the character in as much of a prominent role as he was after
is-
they pivoted from that.
It is weird how prominent he is, but the whole
they
point is
should
that
have
it's literally
changed-
a misdirection.
Sure,
It's
but
like,
that
who
means
else is
like
gonna be in that
five,
role?
Yeah,
five
they-
episodes feel like wasted time.
But it's a red herring to make the Harumi plot twist more
Like I
convincing.
wouldn't care if he was a character. It's the fact that he's literally like I don't care that he is or isn't Echo Zane. I care about the fact he's just a robot that doesn't have like any
Doesn't
importance
even
at
speak.
all or
You
any
don't know that.
agency
We don't
at
know
all.
That's the whole appeal. It's a mystery, mess up.
It's a mystery.
I don't know, man. It feels like a waste of time to me. Like when you
My
when you
headcanon
No,
is that it's Mindroid post-puberty.
No, I mean the whole point is like with the quiet one, right? They want to misdirect you to think it's Mr. E because he doesn't talk. It's the quiet one. There's a good reason why he's in the season.
I feel like his importance is like it's there because like I don't see a version of the season where you don't have him. Like who else fills that role? Like I feel like I guess it makes like what else do you do with that runtime? Because you're still having like the character moments and Lloyd's stuff going on in the background with Harumi, and then you're getting the plot stuff and like the action and like all this stuff, and then it's also adding stakes. Mystery doesn't only act as like this red herring, but he acts as a big like thing for the stakes because he messes up Zane and he's like this big threat and he's like a consistent like thing.
If they just
I think he's effective.
took it a bit down, like with the "Who are you?" it would be
That's what I'm
completely
referring
fine.
to.
Because like we have Ultraviolet and Kilo who are just like generals and it's fine. Mr. E could just be like them.
I'm referring to that bit
Yeah.
in particular.
And that was of course
my hot
like
take, I've never been a fan ever in any media of stories that like prioritize misdirecting the audience over like the integrity of their own story. I feel like that's what Mr. E is. He is very on the nose mystery.
It's like, to the point
Yeah,
of being like, yeah, this
it's not being like secretive about that.
I don't like it.
I won't say it's flawless, but
now maybe
don't
the
think it's
solution wouldn't have been to make him Echo Zane. I agree that's kind of messy.
Yeah.
But I'll counter that like that was the plan and it's very evident and it's still felt in the first 5 episodes that is the plan and you can feel where it shifts and it's not smooth.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. But I think it's still S tier for me. Like that doesn't take away from the season.
Yeah, it doesn't. That and the Harumi thing isn't enough to take away from it because, like, The stuff they get right, they get so right.
No, I mean it does. I mean it takes credit for saving the friggin' franchise.
Also,
Yeah, it literally like.
Yeah, it establishes the Oni and Dragon lore.
I don't think about it.
Changes the nuance and the tone of the show completely, like Sons of Garmadon in general. Harumi, even though you might not like what happens to her, like especially in the early part of the season, is one of the best villains. So, I don't think Sons of Garmadon is definitely up there.
Like I think it deserves to be like top tier. I mean I'm fine with putting it in A as well.
I won't
go
for S if people wanted it S. A is just my vote.
Should we do
it.
poll or?
What do you think, Purple?
It's a little tricky because Sons of Garmadon and Hunted are just kind of meshed into the same season for me. So every time I keep trying to think about Sons of Garmadon, I keep thinking of Hunted instead. But yeah, I would put it like if it not low S, then very high A. Like it was still very enjoyable to watch.
Okay.
Poll?
And Josh, what did you want?
Or
Yeah.
No, not yeah. What did you want?
I said S. I said
S? Okay.
Okay.
Yes.
If it's 3-2, then
We're
you
outvoted.
So S.
Yeah, that's fine.
Alright,
All right,
Let's
Hunted.
go.
S.
Hunted's
I feel
also
like-
really good.
Garmadon.
I think
That's
Hunted's
my-
below Sons of Garmadon.
Same.
but also an S.
For
I think Hunted is better.
For me,
I think it's an A.
I feel like
Sakota convinced me. Sakota's been pushing the Hunted agenda for years.
I've been in the Hunted gang for years.
I
Hunted
think
gets the payoff of Sons of Garmadon's setup, and that's why for me it's above it, basically.
I think for me, Sons of Garmadon is more consistently good throughout.
I can agree with
but
that actually, but the highs in Hunted are so high.
Yeah, Hunted has higher highs but lower lows.
So
Like when
I don't know. I think 75% of Game of Masks clears most of Hunted.
no, Saving Faith
Still.
is the best
you
episode
Saving Faith is the best episode.
in all
Saving Faith
Ninjago.
is really good.
So,
I feel like
Saving
Saving
Faith-
her name is
of
Faith
Saving-
thing was kind of cheesy.
It was
Well,
very
yeah.
cheesy.
Half of Saving Faith has the really good scene with Harumi. of
Saving
course.
Faith has like 4 really good scenes.
Yeah.
It's the first time
Well,
ever
yeah,
seeing an
Sky-
Oni with Mistake fighting Garmadon.
Okay, that was really good. Yeah.
We
Skylar
have
fighting,
Skylar taking over the Oni Titan.
Peak.
Then we have Wu remembering his past and going full on like crazy mode on Iron Baron, and then we have Harumi's death. It like
Yeah,
Saving
that is
Faith
a
is
really
like
good
the
episode,
craziest episode ever.
I did not realize that was all one episode.
Yeah, yeah.
It was. Funny.
I also forgot Harumi died.
Well, I see why.
I feel like okay, this is one of those seasons that starts the trend though of like a lot of these episodes mesh together in my mind. Like I cannot think of these episodes as individually, and I get that's because it's like
Right.
incredibly like hyper serialized by this point. But like I feel like the whole like pacing of this season I think is one of its weakest aspects, and why I put it below Sons of Garmadon, because I feel like Sons of Garmadon had a much better rhythm and pace to it as everything was getting revealed and set up and built up throughout the season. This one feels like some parts really drag. Like you have like these whole chase sequences. Like there's like 3 or 4 separate occasions where we're just watching the ninja running from Iron Baron with little variation in the action and like conflict.
But we learn a lot in that part about like the
We
first
learn-
realm, the Oni,
Yeah,
the dragons.
in between all
It's
the
important
like
lore stuff.
prolonged action
then-
sequences.
Wu has some cool character building in there as well, with the ninja kind
Yeah,
of
Wu is
taking a
great
teacher
stuff. Iron
role.
Baron's a great villain too.
Iron
Like,
Baron
Baron's
is. I feel like
super underrated.
Iron Baron is so overshadowed by Garmadon and Harumi in that season, but he's still a really good
I like
villain.
Iron Baron more than Hunted Harumi and
I
possibly
mean, I agree with that.
Probably
like,
Hunted Garmadon.
Then
He's
also
he's
the
an
first
excellent foil for Wu, even if he's like a mediocre villain on his own.
the
kind of
first
front.
episode of Hunted is so good with like Lloyd and Nia's dialogue, and them feeling like the loss of the ninja and having to keep
Oh,
going.
yeah.
And then like the whole like the resistance never quits thing with Lloyd finding his voice ties really well into his like him becoming a teacher and a master. And then also the way it uses all the elemental masters and side characters in like relevant
That
ways.
was good.
That's
too, yeah.
that's
It's
what I
like
like
something
about it. I
that
feel like
almost
it
no other
pays
season
off
has.
tournament.
And I also think it probably has maybe the best, if not one of the best finales ever. With Green Destiny, where Lloyd uses like the Art of the Silent Fist against Garmadon, and then like kind of like parallels Rebooted. He defeats him that way. He gets his powers back. It's like super epic moment, and then we have like that lingering thread of March of the Oni there.
I wish they had called that to it being the Art of the Silent Fist, because I feel like we pick up on that. But I mean, with how some of the writing is, I legitimately wonder whether that was intentional or not.
No, I think it's very much intentional. I think they don't want to call back to it because it's like from I don't know how many years ago, and kids might not know what that is. But I think it's very much intentional.
It's hard to say.
I think if Green Destiny didn't have like the March of the Oni like hinting in it, and it didn't have like Garmadon getting locked away in the prison cab, it could have been like a good like finale to like that whole era of the show. I think it would have been a better finale than
I agree
like
with that.
March of the Oni. Yeah, maybe give it a few more episodes and build to that instead. Like, say Hunted ended like on a different note, and then you had 4 episodes to build up to like, because March of the Oni still gets the whole like Garmadon and Lloyd relationship stuff there that I think is really important too. And that would kind of suck to miss out on, but I don't know. I still think Green Destiny kind of does a better job wrapping everything up.
Yeah.
Purple, here's my questions for you.
Go.
Wasn't this where you fell off with Ninjago, or was it after this, like at March of the Oni? Or neither. Am I misremembering?
No, I said earlier that like Possession and Skybound were where I fell off, and then like I watched these seasons when you guys were watching them.
Yeah.
Because you were like talking about it and stuff like that. But then I literally didn't know about like the Wild Brain era stuff. Or
that's what I was curious about. I was trying to remember when you stopped being on NinjagoCast.
Oh yeah, no, it was like somewhere
it was around here, because I know Var dropped off first because Var just hated the desert, but then you stuck around for like a bit, and then you were gone too.
I can't remember why. I think it was just a natural losing of interest thing.
Yeah.
Which makes sense.
I'm just
also
curious.
2 more things. The animation was great in Sons of Garmadon. The animation was so good in Hunted for like the Firstborn and like the
I'm always surprised.
Scenes.
I'm always surprised how much Sons of Garmadon and Hunted still hold up animation wise after we've had like Dragons Rising and stuff.
It's kind of a different style, but
it's a different style, and like the fights aren't as fluid, but they're directed so well that it doesn't even matter. Like it's really good.
We got a super chat from World of Cars Entertainment, $4.99. A moment of silence for the people we lost this season: Mr. E, Mistake, Iron Baron, Ultra Dragon, and Harumi's character.
Is this the highest amount of like actual important deaths in a single Ninjago season?
Yes.
Isn't this like the season that was like that kind of created the pivot towards like the Wild Brain or like the 11-minute era, because they were like, oh, this is too much. We have to tone it back for our intended audience.
I mean, maybe.
I remember hearing something about
I know
that.
they had to cut the Darif peeing scene.
Oh yes, I forgot about that.
They have that.
Yeah, Purple, I just checked. You made it halfway through Hunted on NinjagoCast and then dipped at like episode 6 and did not return.
Dang.
And then Var, I think, only made it through episode like 1, I think it was, or like if that.
Oof.
Yeah, exactly.
When did those episodes come out? Like, what was like the year, the time, stuff like that? 2018.
It was directly after, like a few months after we had like kicked out Kahi, and we were like kind of coming back together.
Okay. Yeah, that definitely makes sense, because I definitely got very like, what is disillusioned the word? It's like the whole like podcast thing was very like, actually, I don't want to do this if these are the people who are going to interact with me. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
that makes total sense. Yeah, I mean, I'm not gonna like die on the hill one way or another here. I think it is better than Sons of Garmadon, because I think that the plot lines, I mean, like I've just said, I have a lot of issues with both the first half of Sons of Garmadon and the back half, whereas I feel like this one was pretty much good throughout. I feel like the Ninjago stuff is really good. The First Realm stuff is weaker, but crescendos to something really good.
I'm someone. Now, I feel like a lot of people don't like this when stories do this, when they have like two parallel stories. But I always really enjoy that because there's always like, at least in one of the two stories, there's something interesting going on, and that's kind of like, I really like how that balances each other.
Yeah, it's actually really impressive how they balance the runtime between both realms. And this is like 10 episodes.
No, I will say,
it's definitely a useful way to like give like these very large casts like all something to do, because like if everyone was like in the same plot, like it can get very easily clunky and stuff like that.
Yeah. I will say, to devil's advocate my own preference, I do think there's some big flaws, like killing Mr. E in the way they did. Pretty stupid, I think. The Dareth stuff was pretty cringe. That wasn't that good. I feel that, like Bindo was saying, some of the chase scenes got pretty repetitive as well. And ultimately, I mean, this season... Like there's a lot of discussion about Harumi that was sparked from this season that I now feel is almost redundant, and it feels bad to like say that because it's not this season's fault, but like, I mean, it hasn't aged well.
The only things I remember about Harumi in the season fondly are her death scene, and also the scene where she's like somewhat kind of adopted by Garmadon.
Yeah,
that was a really cool. That was a really cool scene. But other than that, she doesn't really do anything.
Harumi is not the main villain here anymore, in neither of the plots. But I do like what they do with her, where you can see like how she slowly starts to realize what kind of monster she created, basically.
Yeah, it's just it doesn't. I could talk about Harumi all day. I'm not gonna go there.
Yeah. I don't really have a strong opinion on whether it's before or after Sons of Garmadon. I do think it should be S, though. I do think it's a landmark season. It's very well done.
I can agree. I can compromise to
it. Pays off a lot of stuff.
Honestly, I'm fine. If you guys want to put it above Hunted, I'm fine with that too. I just personally I put it in A. I'd put it in A, but like,
well, I can recognize the others feel
how
like
good it is.
We might be outvoted. What do you think, Josh?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay.
Before or after Sons of Garmadon?
I'd say after. Like, I really like it, but I like Sons of Garmadon more.
Okay. What do you think, Purple?
They're about equal for me, although I'm slightly leaning more towards Hunted, since I do remember more from it, and like the dragons and just like the Mad Max like BS was like I dug it.
Also, I'll never forgive them for doing a really interesting thing with Wu and then immediately like making him old again, only to do nothing with him.
Yeah, that was pretty upsetting.
I mean, it wasn't immediate. It took quite a while, but
well, in like the finale, he just comes out and he's like Old Man Wu again, which is I always watch that scene because it's like I question whether or not he was meant to be, because the voice direction on him is not Old Man Wu in that scene. It's like young adult Wu with the voice acting, but it's just Wu's old body. So it's like, what is happening here? That always confuses me. It's
all right,
funny oversight, I guess.
Agreed, but we can put it in S. We can do after Sons of Garmadon.
Dang.
Oof, the Hunted gang lost on this one.
Unless should we do a poll? Because it's like 2-2 and then like indifferent.
Yeah, that'd be a fun poll too. Hunted versus Sons of Garmadon.
I feel like, I mean, I personally would put it above, but I get why people like Sons of Garmadon more.
They're very close.
Just do like make the poll like which is better.
Yeah.
I think Sons of Garmadon also just gets a little bit more of like the prestige because it was like the opener, and that was like it opened up this whole like game-changing trilogy for the show, at least for a little bit. It was like this crazy era.
Franchise.
Yeah, like it entered this new like exciting era.
Yeah,
that like
I also feel like a lot of people, because of that, have Sons of Garmadon as like their preferred season. Yeah. But I feel like Hunted gets a lot of the payoff.
I genuinely just think Sons of Garmadon has a better paced out and more intriguing story overall.
Well, we'll go ahead and vote in the poll. We'll let it sit for a minute, and we can go ahead and
we can
start.
Just keep going. Yeah.
Yeah, let's just talk about March of the Oni.
March of the
Oni. March of the Oni, I do remember.
It's meh. It's alright.
Yeah.
It's like the most mediocre.
What do you think, Purple?
I think Cole should have died. That would have been funny.
Cole's fall is so stupid. I hate it so much.
To this day, I wonder how he did live. Like,
oh well, one of the roofs was actually higher than the others.
That is like one of the #1 examples of the writers just being like, people like talk about this in the community. Let's like randomly shoehorn it into the show for like fan service.
Yeah.
Without thinking about like how this will actually affect the story. The one thing is, it actually did kind of affect the story in a good way because it's what made Garmadon like, or it's what made Lloyd like go like yell at Garmadon and get him to like start to realize like why life is worth living and there's more to life than just surviving. But like, if you have to go out of your way to like do this random like character death and then that's the only payoff for it, like they could have done that. They could have done that in a different way. Is what
it really makes me mad. But I mean, okay, I will ask you guys this: how much of it makes you mad because of the show, and how much of it makes you mad because of the advertising?
Yes, that's. I think we talked about this in our very latest
advertising.
Well, there you go. Tommy was posting like these cryptic posters on Twitter to try to like build hype, and he was like showing like each one of the ninja was having like a character poster, and then they released this poster of Cole, and it was like one ninja will fall with his like.
Oh my god!
Yeah. I think
so. I'm just gonna say this right now. I have not seen the marketing for any Ninjago seasons past like Tournament of Elements or something like that. So just keep that in mind in the future.
Lucky.
I think
posters are so fun.
I said this in our last Crystallized discussion. I think I like March of the Oni a lot more nowadays than I did in the past. I think that if you look at if you write down the plot of March of the Oni on paper, it's really good. I think Kai has a really cool. I think Kai has a really cool conclusion with him like reforging the golden weapons. I think the Tornado of Creation being like the final thing that defeats the Oni is really good. The Lloyd Garmadon plot is really good, even the way it's presented. I like the Zane. Doesn't have that much going on, but he has some nice emotional moments with Garmadon where he shows like he's not just a robot. And the Cold Fall kind of works. I wish it was permanent. So I think like on paper, really good season, but because it's only like 4 episodes, that kind of like, yeah.
I'm just looking at these stupid posters, and there's one of Nia like crying. One ninja will
so over dramatic.
Here's another coming woos. One master must prepare for the end.
Yeah, what was that? Like
the Oni, bro.
Yeah, but like what had nothing going on there.
I think March of the Oni. The Lloyd and Garmadon stuff, I think, is almost like perfect, especially Lloyd's story.
It's my favorite version
because I think Lloyd's
of
final scene, Lloyd's final scene of him like, because the whole like story is about him like fighting about like what makes life worth living and all this stuff, and Garmadon has to reclaim his humanity and figure out like is he just here to survive and do that? Is that all he cares about, or does he care about the people around him and his son and his family? It's so sweet. But like I love how what is this post?
We forgot about Garmadon.
It's really sweet because Lloyd is like a really good contrast to Garmadon because Lloyd has literally been put through the ringer like these last 2 seasons. Like he's not been having a good time, and it like seems hopeless. But in the moment where he meets the first Spinjitzu master, and he has the choice to leave his life behind and like live peacefully for the rest of his days, he chooses not to, and he's like, no, life might be difficult, we might face challenges, but it's worth living. And I think that's a really good way to wrap up the story in the Oni trilogy.
I really
didn't Lloyd like die or something?
Yeah, he died, and he was like, you could go to heaven.
He
and
got
you could,
the
like,
choice, basically.
Gosh, this is an A-rank season then.
You could
Lloyd
be like,
died.
nice.
wow. No, but he comes back, so just
I'll still never forgive that season for like doing it the way they did.
The thing is, it's framed around another fake out death after the season had one, like not even an episode before. So it's like, I don't know. It's the story, the stuff, like the whole there's more to life than surviving outline of the whole Garmadon and Lloyd thing, and them coming to terms with like what's important to them in their lives. I think that's really good. I just think everything surrounding it is so contrived and like kind of just boring at points. It's just like I don't care about the Oni. I don't care about anything that's happening.
Very sad.
It's a good. It's cool fan service of Kai like reforging the golden weapons, but I feel like it's wasted on this boring conflict that I feel like doesn't have any stakes to it at all. It's just like, I don't know. I like the core of it. I like it a lot. It's just like it rounds out to just being okay in my opinion. Yeah. It's like what it tried to do, it did good, but like there's a lot of problems with it that just make me kind of find it not interesting to watch.
What I said earlier with like, if you put all the ideas on paper and make it like an 8 or 10 episode season, it could be a really, really good season.
Yeah, it could be a really strong season.
It feels very rushed, and because of that, a lot of the moments that could be really big moments don't hit as much.
There's some strong emotional moments, but they could have hit a lot harder.
I'm kind of tending to like
them better and had a better conflict. I think a big part of it is really just the conflict. It was built up so much throughout Hunted and even Sons of Garmadon, and it just falls so flat because like the Oni are so like lame. They don't do like anything, and it's like it really shows how like poor stakes can really hinder investment in a story if they're like that bad. Because like if I don't care about the stakes and if I don't feel like there's actually any threat, I don't care about what's happening to these characters. Your whole message about if life is like how life is worth living doesn't matter because it doesn't feel like there's a danger, especially when one of your main characters falls from like a ship miles high in the sky and like lands in Oni like clouds that have been shown to freeze everybody else instantly, but just uses his power of plot armor to like.
This is a really minor detail, but like I'll never forget the moment where the episode ends with Cole like unconscious and the camera pans upwards and they show like the Oni smoke like getting closer and closer and closer, and it's so close and then it cuts away, and then in the next episode when we get Cole's perspective, it's way far away. Yeah. And I'm like, no, you don't get to do that. You don't get to do that.
In your story about how valuable life is, why are our main characters practically invincible? It completely devalues the entire message of it.
Our poll has it's capped at 67%. Think Sons of Garmadon's better, 33% Hunted. So
it fits already.
There you go.
Fair enough.
And then World of Cars Entertainment 199. Thank you. Says love how each ninja has at least one moment to shine. I agree. Like the others have said, the actual stuff is good. It's not that the plot is bad. It's purely a delivery thing. It's purely a runtime thing, because all of it, when you look at the circumstances, it's similar to Hands of Time, how like the circumstances in production really contribute to why it is how it is. The fact that they weren't given like a full season order, the fact that they weren't given sets.
Yeah.
Which
look at the March of the Oni concept art. It's insanely cool.
It's so cool. It is.
Have you ever seen the concept art?
I cry.
I don't know.
I cry for what we could have maybe potentially had, even though.
I still hope that we one day get another Oni season to redeem it.
Oh man, I just looked at the sub.
Part of me agrees.
Like, they had like actual Oni like characters, you know, and like
I wish see Oni
giant.
redeemed one day. Oh my god.
Yeah, I don't know. Like they have such cool designs here.
We need cool Oni.
Yes.
Again, they need another chance.
Yeah. Bring back Oni. Anyway, how do we rank it? I'm saying like low C.
I'm saying C, bottom of C, probably.
Yeah, it's very whatever.
I think it's the most mediocre season in my opinion.
Which is sad. Like for me, I would love to rank it higher, but it's the presentation.
I really wanted
before
to love
Crystallized, I would actually put it in F because it was disastrous way back when. It was very badly received in the community, and I thought it was like, I mean, how people feel about Crystallized nowadays is definitely how I at least felt about March of the Oni back then. But it's aged better by comparison, like you guys were saying. Like, I can appreciate like what they were trying to do a bit more now, so I would not be that nuclear about it. I'm fine with C.
So behind pilot, is that fair for
yes.
everyone?
Mm-hmm.
All right. Next up, we have Secrets of the Forbidden Spinjitzu.
Okay, so these seasons I actually rewatched like recently, so I actually remember what happens in them.
Go nuts, Purple.
It's
what
neat.
What do you think of Fire Captain? We'll start there.
Conceptually, I really like it because I really like the Serpentine. I don't care how overused they are. I always like them, and also I'm Egyptian, so I'm like super biased towards the Egypt season. But and okay, man, this is tricky because like overall, I feel like it's like more of a B season, but some of the standout episodes are like really, really like funny. Like the one where it's like just a newscast for the whole episode.
Yeah.
Catastrophe.
Yeah.
That episode's
yeah,
so
like
good.
it was so clever. It was just like I love this.
The comedy was so good.
Yeah, the Fire Chapter is a comedy season.
It really is. It really is. I think it's like dumb fun that doesn't really matter that much, and I think it does what it does fine enough.
Yeah, and also like the start of the really good fights, and I love
the action
fights like that's like it's my thing, man.
We can't like understate how, and I mean like I know for some of us it's not a big deal. There's a lot of people that would watch Ninjago and would instantly lose interest the moment it's just like two Lego minifigures having like a slap fight. You know, like we might not care that much. A lot of people do. I know Vars said that was one of the things they really like messed with him. You know, like you have this fight on like the rooftop between like Klaus and Nia, but it looks awkward because it's Lego minifigures.
Yeah, they're just hopping around.
Wildbrain employing like stretching in like the fight scenes to make like more dynamic action.
Yeah, like action lines and just
the
insane
particle
camera
effect.
work and like it's so good.
I think the season like visually overall doesn't look the best because like there's a lot of wacky lighting in the backgrounds, but when you get those like really good fights, like Sons of Garmadon and Hunted had really well like directed and choreographed fights, but they had limitations, and like the direction couldn't save them fully like from being amazing. I still think Hunted and Sons of Garmadon fights have aged really well though, but the stuff in the season's great.
Yeah, I will say the like city set pieces for like just the Wildbrain era in general are extremely like low detailed, especially like just coming from like, you know, Sons of Garmadon, Hunted, all that. It's like, what
happened?
It's really weird because they sacrificed visual fidelity in some areas, like the environments, but then they got it in others, like the hair for like the ninja and like the expressiveness of their faces. Their like torso prints are really weirdly like high res detailed. Like I think they just decided to do more for the characters than the environments. But I mean, it was
also like
definitely
a city is very detailed. Like that's going to take a long time, especially when like this is your first season working on it.
Exactly.
You have to make like a ton of new assets.
Yeah, I'm glad they improved over the years, but it was definitely a low point when we were first getting it way back when.
For sure.
I feel like, I mean, a lot of people, I feel like, have a very low opinion of Fire Chapter. I do not. I think it is very inoffensive. I think it's very funny. I think it leans into being very funny. I think it wears that on its sleeve. I think them trying creative stuff like the Little Nelson episode, like the Snake Catastrophe episode, you know, like the Wu and Garmadon as kids flashback episode. All of those are very strong. I feel like where it falters, I mean, it falters in the characters because they essentially do a full reset of basically everyone back
Yeah.
to like a base level state, and they hand wave it with the excuse of like, well, oh, they're out of practice. But I mean, no, that's not engaging. Everybody's development feels like it was reset, and that's a big con.
I also think overall pacing of the season has some pretty big issues. They were definitely still figuring out the 11-minute format. Where like all the episodes you mentioned are very fun, but if you look at like how the overall story with Asphira and all that develops, it's very like rushed in the end. So yeah, it's very comedy heavy. I don't think there are any like super tense moment or anything like any of the better seasons we had before.
The season's very tonally jarring coming after the Oni trilogy, and I think that's a big problem I have with it. I really didn't like it when it first came out because of that. I felt like they kind of abandoned a lot of the more like enticing parts of the show. Like I was like, oh, Ninjago's finally like evolving with the Oni trilogy. Like we're finally getting like deeper stories and all this stuff, and it feels like it's aging with its audience. And then it kind of just went back to like square one, where it's like even Rise of the Snakes wouldn't make some of these jokes. But like looking back on it with the context of what we got later, I feel like it's kind of just harmless. It's fine. I would rank this at like the top of C. I think it's like I love the animation at points. I think other seasons just nailed the 11-minute stuff a lot better. I don't have any big gripes with it, but I also don't love anything about it.
Yeah, I'd put it high C, low B, I think, because it's a fun watch. I don't mind it, but it's also not like something I actively like seek out to rewatch.
I'd put it in the bottom of C.
Bruh. No, I agree with top of C. I think like if we're looking at something that like because March of the Oni is low C because it did damage, I feel. It was the ending of a trilogy, and it didn't pay off the threads well. Pilots are in C. Pilots are in C because, I mean, it's kind of the beginning, and they don't really leave much of an impact. Rebooted was kind of like botched in some ways. But like Fire Chapter, it's the start of something that they grew from. It's similar to the pilots in that way, to me.
For me, it's like the Fire Chapter because of the character reset. I feel like it does damage. And also, I feel like there are no highs that can rival the highs of like Rebooted or March of the Oni.
I don't know. I kind of prefer I kind of prefer like the funny comedy stuff and like visuals of the fights more than any of the emotional moments. Well, I don't know. March
might be where the production value argument comes
Look
in.
at the Zane Sacrifice or Garmadon Lloyd dynamic. There's nothing close to that.
That is true.
In the Fire
Honestly.
Chapter.
Well, we have cool Asphira spinny top fight. The Fire Chapter took us out.
Fire Chapter
burned up Sakota's computer.
One video for Will Film, one video for Wild Rain.
There you go.
Okay. So, the crux of the issue really is about whether Fire Chapter would be high or low C. Purple, do you have any strong feelings on this?
Yeah, I would put it below Rebooted, but above the pilots, I think.
Okay. And I mean, I agree personally.
That's a good compromise.
Story-wise, I'll agree that it's like not as good, but like everything else, I mean, there's no world in which the pilots are better. Like, Josh, what do you think?
Fire Chapter, I'm very neutral towards. Like, it's inoffensive to me. Nothing, like it's just a comedy, I guess.
But would you put it like above or below the pilots?
Probably below. I remember the pilots like a lot more than the Fire Chapter.
Would you put it above or below March of the Oni?
Oh, above. Mostly for the fight scenes and like the animation and everything.
Yeah,
I agree.
Like Asphira is not even like as a villain. She has a cool design, but she's like
She has like no personality
She's like a
outside
nothing
revenge.
character. Yeah.
Better
And
than
the-
Omega.
And the revenge thing wasn't even like
Fair enough.
funny and ironic that much at that point.
Yeah, it wasn't a meme yet.
I think Asura is kind of funny.
Compromise though, like I think we can compromise and be like third in the list of C.
So below the
That's like
Yeah.
the compromise point. Sure,
that's
I don't
fair.
agree, but I'll
fine.
do that.
C tier is already the most weird for me, but that's just something we'll have to live with.
All right, next up, Ice Chapter.
Hatred,
I hate the
Yeah.
Ice Chapter so much.
hatred.
Yeah, I can't say I like this one as much as Fire Chapter, to be honest.
The production
You
values
know-
are good, but yeah.
You know
the
I
story
hate a
has
season.
Big issues.
You know I hate a season when I make an over hour-long video on it.
Oh boy. Yeah, we love Akita, I guess, and
Okay,
eh.
There's so
Last
much
of the
bad stuff.
Formlings. Last of the Formlings is really good in my opinion. Besides that,
the animated episode.
yeah, the animated Akita flashback episode. I love that episode. I think it's great. I also think the soundtrack is like up there. Like this is one of like top 3 Ninjago soundtracks. Easily.
I'm with you there.
Mm-hmm.
Other than that, I could criticize literally every single other element of the season into oblivion. I don't like. I think every character story is fumbled. I think they're like borderline problematic in the case of Nia's and like Kai's and like how like it's like this season is literally just crystallized light to me. It's like it's like the warning signs. It's like
No, I'm with you. I'm
It's
with you
doing
there.
To me.
it's doing all of the mistakes Crystallized did to a lesser and like not as destructive degree because they're in their own like separate sandbox. It's like it can't harm anything because it's not playing off of existing stories, but it's also like really messing up the characters' progression and where they should be at in this point in the story, and sending
I
some
am
really weird messages that I don't quite agree should be sent.
Like what?
Well, okay, my main issue is Kai and Nia's whole thing about their powers, and how at the end of the day, to me, I perceive it as pretty much like in Nia's instance, she's like, I can't do water here, and I'm like, I need to learn to control ice now apparently, and it's like Nia's whole thing shouldn't be her learning to control another power in order to
Yeah.
feel as if she's a useful part of the team.
I
it should
I
be-
don't get why they even introduced that.
It should be her learning that she doesn't need an elemental power to do anything, especially when she's the one that literally that was like her
Samurai
whole
X.
thing before
Yeah.
she became a ninja. And it would be like, okay, she's remembering that part of herself. She goes back and she realizes that before she had powers, she was more than just a water ninja. And that could be like a whole powerful story. But no, and then Kai's whole thing is like, oh yeah, we have this really eccentric character that like gives into all his struggles and just wants to do things the easy way because he's Kai and he's funny like that. And so instead of having him have an arc where he's like, oh, he loses his fire powers and he has to learn how to deal with things without that. No, let's just give him his fire powers anyway, and have that be the lesson. Just wait long enough, and you'll get the special magic power that you don't have to work for at all. It's just, I don't know. I don't think any. I could rant about every character story in this
Yeah.
season.
2 more points. I know it's a bit of a meme that I really don't like Crag, but they spend so much time with Crag.
Yeah, all my homies hate Crag.
Craig's okay. I like
And-
how he connects to like the stakes of like the Ice Samurai.
Yeah, I
stuff,
get
at
it, but I
least,
feel like
but
they just
yeah.
spend so much time on
I take more
Crag.
problem with Cole's whole thing.
And then the whole like lore
said, I could-
thing.
I could
is, of
rant about
course-
lily every character arc. in
The
this.
big
season.
mess is of course the Ice Emperor, time travel, not time travel,
Yeah,
not
that's the
really
worst
explained
part.
in the show how it works.
Still to this day, there are issues. Like, it's bad.
You still don't fully understand like
and
what the
then the
deal
Ice
is.
Emperor never being addressed really, except for Quest for the Lost Powers.
Yeah.
I feel like the whole Nia thing. I mean, so I when I'm feeling charitable towards Ice Chapter, which is rare, but when I am, I wonder if it's suffering from like community over expectations.
Mm-hmm.
Because I mean, I can be honest and be like, NinjagoCast at the time, we were like dead set on the fact that like, okay, Zane is gonna stay evil. He will not come back. because otherwise, why would they be teaching Nia how to use ice? They're very
Oh, that would have
clearly
been cool.
they're very
Man.
clearly setting her up to be the ninja of like water and ice after Zane is removed from the team. Because otherwise, there's literally no point. But I wonder, like, because that we were so certain about that, right? That it became like an expectation thing. But I mean, I don't think it really helps. I think it's still bad no matter what.
I personally never even.
I didn't
really
expect
cross
that
my mind
either.
that much. So like I knew that they were gonna get Zane. Like I had a feeling they would get Zane back by the end of the season. I just thought that maybe they would do a better job of like wrapping it up.
Also, there's the absolute worst and Kaiju Protocol, which I personally don't hate. I know a lot of people hate those episodes, but I feel like if you consider the whole season, they just take up time that really should have spent on the core Zane story that is like kind of very rushed and yeah.
The season's already struggling for time, and then you throw in these episodes, which
they
on their
didn't need
own aren't
4
bad.
episodes.
On their own, they aren't bad, but they're thrown into the season that has nothing to do with them, and just. I mean, Kaiju Protocol's kind of not great because the
Kaiju Protocol is bad.
The whole that episode's bad. I think the absolute
it has some weird implications for the lore.
Yeah, about like, Traveler's Tea and stuff.
Traveler's
Tea makes no sense by this point in the season, all about how important it is, and they completely mess it up, and it's just not. There's no logic happening in this season at all. Nothing makes
Ice
sense.
Chapter
makes sense.
It's really awful. It's littered with bad writing and bad lore that they stay away from because they don't want to touch it with like a 10-foot pole, which also makes it feel like really disconnected from the events that come afterwards. But I think it just kills me because I really like the idea of it. I like the idea of like a ninja gets corrupted and becomes evil and like must be stopped.
Also, like the visuals for the Ice Emperor and stuff were really cool.
I was so attached, and I really liked the idea of the Ice Emperor, and I still do. But I find like the handling, I mean, I find it unforgivable. Like if I had to make like the list of like my least favorite Ninjago things, like this would easily probably be like number 2.
It's also the one thing I always bring up. It's kind of a criticism for like all of the Fire and Ice chapter, Secrets of the Forbidden Spinjitzu. The whole like Forbidden Spinjitzu lore never really that well explained. We still don't know really what the secrets of the Forbidden Spinjitzu are.
They completely dropped it.
Yeah.
Yep, they never went back to it. LOL.
They even set it up to be important, and then it wasn't because it was like, oh, Zane is the Ice Emperor because he's corrupted by the scroll, but it's like, oh no, he's not. He was actually evil because he got shut down during his software update. Like,
and Vex basically gives him false information.
Nothing makes sense. There's no logic behind it. It's like I don't.
Also,
like there's so much potential too, because like Vex has the potential to be a really good villain. Ice Emperor Zane has the potential to be a really powerful story about Zane dealing with his humanity once again and feeling as if his coding is controlling him rather than his own mind. The whole powers of Nia and Kai are like a good story to teach them lessons about how their powers don't define them. Like Cole's whole story is a good thing for like doing literally anything for Cole. Like, but they fumble everything.
There are essays being written in the YouTube chat about this season.
Dude, it's great. I love the essays. No, it's bad. Like I mean,
what's the
my
rating?
hot take? I think it is F.
I will always
I think
stand.
The production values are too good for F.
I think it's above Hands of Time, but
it's
that
like
doesn't mean it's
most
D.
of the season is like a gross, like snowy, like mess of like.
But then there's a shot of the Ice Emperor and the music.
But there's like a few shots in the Ice Emperor's castle that look really good. You can have.
No, I think it's F. I think it does damage.
Dakota Crystallized has some really good shots.
Wow, I mean, you haven't heard my takes on Crystallized.
Ice Chapter has a handful of really beautiful screenshots, but like most of the season, I think is kind of unappealing looking.
I still to this day think that like Ice Chapter is like one of the biggest bag fumbles, and it set up the 11-minute arc to fail by like making us just be angry and have like a weird taste in our mouth going forward. Like it was
I mean,
a really
the thing is, like,
an ambitious story to land, and the fact that they didn't so categorically, like it's bad.
But the thing is, like, it's not like a crystallized level thing where it's like everybody agrees that it's not good, because there's a lot of people who really like the season and have like good reasons for enjoying it, and it's like it's interesting to me because I feel like this is one of those seasons that has the widest variety of takes on it, and I feel like all are like equally like I could see like why someone would really find themselves attached to this season. It's just me personally, I look at this and I'm like, everything annoys me. Like nothing here makes sense to me. All the messaging is off, everything's contradictory, and I don't like it.
The Ice Emperor is my white whale. Like, yeah. So I say F above Hands of Time. Sakota, I'm guessing you say D.
I
think it's
D,
below
but
Hands of Time.
below Day of the Departed, so it's pretty close, I think.
Josh, Purple, you guys will decide its fate.
Oh man, I would rank it higher than Day of the Departed because it's at least like entertaining to me, even if it's just like short individual moments. But
Okay.
I like. There's concepts in this season that I like, but the execution like wasn't great.
Mm-hmm.
But it also wasn't like it's not my white whale. It's like, yeah, they should have done better, but also like, you know,
Didn't bug you that bad.
Yeah, like I'm not really much of a Zane fan. Like I like him, but he's not like my favorite.
Oof.
So it's just like,
but he could have been if he was.
I mean, yeah, he could have been if they did a really cool like evil arc, like characters turning evil is like my favorite trope. So,
Josh,
D, probably D or F. D below Day of the Departed. I will always say that I like stand by that it would have been better if they switched Lloyd and Kai.
Well, Bendo, we've been outvoted. We put up a good fight.
Okay, look. About that though, if they had switched Lloyd and Kai's story to where Kai was the one who went out, and the Titan mech was red, then the 4 Titan mechs we have would have right now would have been the 4 original Ninja.
Oh man!
So instead, we're just missing out on Kai.
God, Lloyd just ruining everything.
Yeah,
Lloyd didn't even get a good story at the end of the day. It wasn't even worth it.
Nope, but he got a new girlfriend for like a minute.
Yeah.
How old is she again?
Let's not think about it.
Well, now she's dead because
yeah, she's probably dead.
Well, maybe we don't know. We don't know because we're never gonna find out.
Doc said Tommy is right.
Okay, good. I thought he said that he was wrong, and I was about to be mad because
Doc said Tommy's right in everything.
Okay.
Would have been cool if it was explained in the season, but whatever.
Yeah.
I know.
It's fine. It's fine.
But instead, it was in our live chat.
All right.
Prime Empire.
So, Prime Empire.
Okay, so Prime Empire. The first time I watched the season, I thought it was pretty good. There was a lot of stuff I liked, and I really liked the last episode. The second time I watched this season, I thought it sucked.
Yep.
Yeah.
I think about Prime Empire kind of how I feel about the Fire chapter. Not a lot of substance, but fun individual episodes.
It was really creative, and I feel like I gotta give it to them on that one. They had a motif, and they ran with it, and they did cool stuff with it, and I mean,
Detective.
It does have one of my favorite fights in the series, I will say.
Which is what?
The animation.
The Lloyd versus Avatar Harumi one.
Yeah,
that was really good.
That was pretty good. And storytelling wise, they actually kind of handled that pretty good. Like they didn't mess up anything. So it's like kudos to them.
I still, I mean, they messed up. Like how would Avatar Harumi Unagami know these like intricate details?
Yeah, but that's more of like a wild sci-fi concept.
It only makes sense if you plug yourself into Prime Empire.
Yeah, but
like,
it doesn't make sense because like Lloyd figures it out that it's fake by her not knowing something. So, yeah. I mean, we've talked about this before.
The thing with Prime Empire to me is just like it's like the most nothing Ninjago season. I feel like nothing is earned or gained or happens. Like I like Okino and I like his little story, but besides that, I feel like because the whole season's like it kind of it kind of gives arcs to side characters in
Yes.
favor of like
the ninja.
the main ninja,
It
which
starts
I
that
would be
trend.
okay with. I would be fine with if they had good arcs for the side characters. The Racer 7 and like who was the third one? Scott. Yeah.
I forgot about Scott.
They have like
How did you
the
forget about the
worst-
threat named Scott?
like they have it's barely even character arcs. It's just like I'm bad at this thing and or like in Racer 7's case it's like I can't win the race, and then Lloyd's like nah, just trust me, you'd win this time, and then she's like okay, and then she does it.
We have
Yeah, it's pretty
eliminated the
dumb.
threat known as Scott.
That's kind of why I said I feel like it similar to the Fire chapter, because it's also like it's just like shows nice little adventures of the ninja and how they make other people's lives better. It's very kind of
But the
low
Fire
stakes in
chapter-
that as well. Of course, there's also the whole discussion about the lore with the energy cubes and the portal and all that, which only makes sense with the Jin theory.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah.
I
think
feel
the
like
Fire-
as I've gotten older, because when I was younger, like not even it wasn't that many years ago, but like I used to care a lot about like plot holes. But Ninjago's just kind of like beaten me down over the head with like a steel bat, and now I don't even have the energy to like talk about it. Like, yeah, it makes no sense they come out of the gate, but like, I mean, what makes sense really? At the end of the day, nothing makes sense. Nothing
There's
makes
too much
sense
stuff to
anymore.
keep track of, especially when
Well-
it like all contradicts at some point.
Well, Nestor, with the Jin theory, it makes total sense.
Yeah, it all makes sense. We made it
Oh,
make
what?
sense.
The what theory?
The Jin
Oh,
theory.
You gotta fill her another time.
yeah,
Not today, maybe.
yeah.
It's a theory that like Unagami has like Jin
Power
properties or power, basically.
Jen?
Jin,
Jin.
like
basically.
not a
Like
con.
Nauticon.
Oh.
Yeah.
Alrighty then.
Wasn't there like a whole other version of the season that was supposed to be like Jay's mom like made
That was
the
like
game?
an early
I
plan. There's
heard
also the
that.
whole Ada the Rada thing, which they cut out.
It's just
yeah.
Stupid.
why like this is supposed to be a Jay season and he doesn't even do anything until like the last episode.
So
I don't know.
here's my thing, and there's a version of this that I think would have been better. But it admittedly, it's a pipe dream that might not even be fully accurate that I have based on one piece of concept art. And I think you guys might know the one. It is Master of the Mountain concept art
Yeah.
that
has the
uses
whack rats.
Prime Empire motifs and has the
think-
rats.
I think
And
you're overestimating that importance. I think that's just set concept art exploration.
maybe, but I don't think it should be understated that like the motif for Master of the Mountain was, you know, role-playing games and how they had a game focus in the sets, and like I can see in my head the initial concept being it was going to be one long video game season with a Jay and Cole focus.
Oh,
And
I would have loved that.
and like I like what we got for Master of the Mountain, fine, but I think Prime Empire would have benefited from more time to breathe. I think it would have benefited from like the Jay focus with Cole and kind of their friendship, and about Jay's mom and about Cole's mom, and like, you know, there could have been some connections made there. I think Prime Empire, it needed more time. The concepts needed more time to be explained. They needed more time to breathe, and they needed more time to draw the parallel between Jay and Unagami. Now, if they had done this plan, it would have come at the cost of Master of the Mountain, because it has nothing to do with video games and it has a lot to do with real world lore. But I mean, like, it's kind of a trade-off. We would have got like a potentially worse Cole arc for like a better Jay arc. I don't know. Either way, it needed more time. It was nowhere near enough time, because at the very end, that final scene, I get what they're trying to do. I get the parallel they're trying to do with Jay and Unagami, and it works. but it wasn't like remotely
It wasn't
set up.
built to, yeah.
Super fan.
It came out of
YouTube
nowhere
chat.
completely, and it just makes me sad for the potential of the story that could have been told with Jay, because it was like that was a good chance to actually give Jay an interesting like story and like have him be conflicted about his mother and like actually reflect on being adopted and what that means for him. But it was just shoehorned in at the end.
Super fan go in the live chat. Secrets of the Forbidden Moms.
Yep. And then World of Cars gave a 199 super chat a bit earlier, but then Never Realm and said never is a really long time. you're so right.
I hate that cliffhanger.
So, how are we ranking Prime Empire?
Oh, D.
Really?
It's
I don't
tough for
think
me,
it's
man.
D.
Top of D, like top of D.
I really don't like it.
Okay.
But do I dislike it as much as others? That's kind of the question. And I don't think I do.
I'd put
Actually,
it slightly
above
above
the-
Fire Chapter personally, because I think it's similar in tone but a bit more entertaining and more creative.
Fire Chapter has fewer issues.
Yeah, but I think the Prime Empire is more creative and more
Fire
interesting.
Chapter feels more of like an actual story. I feel like Prime Empire Prime Empire feels like a short series that they turned into a season. I don't know
But
if
on the
anybody
other
else gets that vibe.
on the other hand, Jay and Nia dance battle. So it should go in S tier. That's like the best JM moment. Don't at me.
I
Because
mean,
they're, like, their
there's not
dance
a
shot.
high bar.
And also it has been like a banger soundtrack.
Yes,
that
the
that was
Prime Empire
good
soundtrack
actually.
Was really good.
Prime Empire introducing the Jay and Nia dancing part of their relationship was pretty good.
Again, it was
It's
like
so
what Purple
relevant.
wanted earlier, them doing like fun, like
I like
coupley
how-
things.
I like
also-
how Cole brought back the triple tiger sachet. That was
I
pretty
also think
fun.
they did a lot of fun stuff just with the video game concept, with like the life bars and
just-
the League of Jays.
I don't know. I
stuff
find
like
something
that.
about the season just is really boring to me. I don't know. I don't have a fun time watching it. I
Purple,
can't get
Josh,
invested in anything that's happening in it.
It's
you
nothing to me.
choose
Probably
C or,
high
C
D.
or D. High D? Okay. What do you think, Purple?
Purple is
Oh, Purple is gone.
definitely.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well. Oh, wait. No, she said in our chat.
Oh, cool.
I'd put it in low C, high D, or something.
Should we do poll
So-
C or D?
Yeah. Let's
Yeah,
do a
low-
poll for this. This is a poll
Alright.
moment.
High D or low C.
Poll moment.
High D, low C.
I'm back.
Welcome back. We're doing a poll. It's too close.
Gosh.
Do you have any other thoughts on Prime Empire, Purple?
If I ever made another comic, it would be about this season.
Oh, based. You should make
Nice.
another comic.
God, if I have free time, maybe.
I was
And
saying how
an
like
idea.
it kind of does the things that you were saying earlier they should have done earlier with like Jaya by having them do like fun stuff like dancing together.
Mhm.
You know, reasons why they might like have fun. Like
Yeah.
common ground. Like, I don't know. It's a simple thing, but like I don't want to make it like Prime Empire did nothing right.
Yeah.
just-
Yeah, I agree.
I'll just put it in high D for now, and then we'll see the poll results, and then we can keep.
Cool,
going.
that works.
Or I'll do low D because low C because that's easier right now.
Master of the Mountain.
A.
I liked it.
I think A is fair. I was really
Yeah.
hyped on it when it first came out. I put it in like top
Yeah.
3. But nowadays I feel like it's still good, but it's not as wow.
Admittedly, the hype has subsided, but
I think
A
still
is
really
fair.
like it.
Yeah,
A behind or before tournament?
I like it better than
Fine.
I like it better
I
than
tournament.
I like
I
tournament
don't.
better, but
Actually,
yeah.
no, I like it less than tournament. Never mind.
Bruh. All right, well, outvoted.
Okay, so
I like
behind
that.
tournament then.
I like it. I like it more than tournament. So
All right.
That was the
so,
fastest decision we've ever made.
yeah.
Okay. So
Right.
Josh is the tiebreaker.
Josh. I mean, I also
Well,
like
I'm
it better
not
than
tiebreaker, I said
tournament.
above.
Yeah, I feel like it's a.
Yeah,
Oh wait, did you like it above tournament as well, Sakona?
No.
So yeah, it's Purple, Bindo, and you think it's less, and then me and Josh think
okay.
it's more.
All
Dang.
right, so it's
So
below.
you have been outvoted.
Yeah, we were.
I think.
I
I
mean-
mean, I think it's pretty close. I wouldn't mind like either way.
I guess. So I mean, to get some discussion value out of it, because I don't even think you've spoken at length about it, Purple, like on a recording. What didn't work for you about it?
For Master of the Mountain?
Yeah.
Um,
Just like stuff that didn't click as much.
It's a good question because like I like Tournament of Elements because in general I just really like tournament arcs.
That makes sense.
Master of the Mountain was still like really solid though. Like, man, this is tricky. Now I have to actually like think.
Yeah. Give you a think. Use the brain.
Man, I have to actually like think out my opinion. What is this? I think for me, Tournament of Element, the highs were like really, really high. So it kind of like skews things a lot. But Master of the Mountain just like overall was fairly solid, I guess. So
my rationale, because I do really like it. There was a time it was S, but it's not anymore. And the reason is because I feel like, I mean, no disrespect to any Cole fans out there, genuinely, because I also like Cole, but I feel like Cole fans are so desperate for scraps that they will like overhype basically anything just because it exists. I feel like if you look at the other ninja and their arcs and then you compare them to Cole's entire seasonal focus in Master of the Mountain, he does not have an arc. He has character focus.
Yeah,
his focus is he loves his mom. He loves his mom and he makes friends easily. That's like that's his arc. Nothing wrong with that at all. It's good and cool and fun. But I mean, I kind of wish, like, the benefit of Hands of Time, right? To random tangent, I know. The idea they were trying to do was to show how a ninja can look up to their parents and put them in very high regard, and then the struggle they go through when their expectation is challenged, right? That's what they were trying to do. And they were trying to have Kai really be struggling with the idea that his dad isn't who he thought he was because of the importance he put onto his legacy. And I think that's interesting, even if it was badly told. Cole's arc, by contrast, is he loved his mom, knew she was a good person, and then learned she was an even better person. Then that's really it. It's cool, but
it's
like
also a bit about like idolizing her and living up to her legacy.
He struggles with living up to the expectation once he learns how big it is. Because like Cole does still have a struggle, and I agree, he doesn't really have an arc, but he still struggles in aspects, and he has to be lifted up by Wu and those around him to really like feel like he's worthy of the title that he's been given and of what he's doing.
Which I did like.
Master of the Mountain to me is the season that truly defined Cole as a person, that retroactively makes me go back to older seasons and be like, this is kind of who he is. And it's like, it sucks that you have a character you have to do that with this long into a show. I recognize that. But like, I feel like it's really cool. Like the writers did their research. They went through literally like everything. You can pinpoint any of Cole's like past actions and like see them applied in Master of the Mountain. Like it's the single most definitive Cole-centric story that just shows off like everything from previous seasons, and I feel like that's really cool. It's just a culmination. It's just a culmination and celebration of the character, and I think it feels like one of the few times the writers really like tried to like give something to the fans that they knew they wanted, and actually excelled at it, and just kind of delivered pretty much what was needed.
Go first.
I also think that that's something that Master of the Mountain does the best out of all the 11-minute era seasons, definitely, is that it finds, even though it's very much a Cole-focused season, there is something interesting going on for all the ninja. And I also think the comedy is really good in Master of the Mountain.
I agree. Also, I mean, like, well, first of all, about the Cole thing, it's really cool as well because it also established him, which again, that many seasons in, kind of whack. But like, people were always like, well, what is Cole's like personality? He doesn't have like a defined personality. Well, like, to me, it's about he is a leader who has the capability to bring together people from like all walks of life and all situations to like rally under him.
Yeah.
He's inspiring. He's grounded. And
like a big brother.
they have continued that because that's exactly how he's portrayed in Dragons Rising.
And without
It's the
Master of the
same
Mountain,
thing.
you wouldn't get that.
He just traded like one family for another family, and then traded that family for another family. The Cole special.
Yeah.
But
It's just fun. It's just satisfying.
Yeah.
As somebody who's always rooted for Cole, and always like, because I'm someone who watches shows, and I love the underrated characters a lot. I don't know why. I always gravitate towards the underrated characters because I always like to see the potential in characters that people kind of don't pay much attention to. So as someone who really liked Cole, going into that season, I didn't know what to expect after the last two, or last three, I guess, if you have Fire and Ice chapter separate. And like it surprised me. It was like, wow, I was like really shocked. I was like, and it's the first time I think in the 11-minute era, as people call it now, that they actually told a really solid character story throughout the season, and it had a good through line. Like they kind of figured out the 11-minute pacing, figured out a way to serialize it while also keeping self-contained episodes, and like the pacing always felt really good. There were where it falters, like I kind of feel bored sometimes when they go back to the Months and the Gecko stuff and they cut away from Cole. And I do think it has a bit of the Hunted problem where there's a bunch of like prolonged chase sequences that didn't really need to be as long as they were. But I think in terms like the 11-minute episodes, like this was the first one to really get me to pay attention. I was not invested in 11-minute Ninjago at all until this season.
I am with you there. Okay.
Alrighty. Next up, The Island.
It
exists.
A thing, silly moments, I guess, but it's just a thing.
I really hated it at the time. I can't even bring myself to like have any emotion towards it. It may as well not even exist.
Yeah, I think it's just kind of forgettable, sadly.
Like as much as it's weird to say this, like Crystallized redeemed the mistake that the island made with Ronin for me, which was the biggest thing I was pissed about. So taking that away, I mean, I guess it shouldn't be taken away. Like it still happened, but I know it gets fixed. So I'm just kind of like, yeah, whatever. I would just throw it somewhere in D. I don't care where.
Put it between Days the Departed and Ice chapter, probably.
I don't care where. Just throw it somewhere. Move on.
So, Coda, did you want to end the poll or finalize the Prime Empire poll?
Oh yeah, right.
Yeah, I think I already did it in the tier list.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, low
yes,
C
low
was
C.
the majority.
Okay, cool. I was just making sure because it was still up for me.
Yeah.
There it is. Okay. Cool.
All right, should we just move on to Seabound then, or do we want to talk?
Let's
about
just
the
move on.
Yes.
I don't want to talk about the island. Seabound is B tier. Don't at me.
Shut the heck up! It is S tier. It is like literally
Don't
like
at me.
it is literally okay. Server mute. Shut up. It's like really, really good in like basically every category for me personally. Yep. Like it has a really solid plot. It has a really solid character arc for Nia. It has like really, really good fights, especially at the end. What?
Kalmar.
It has those two.
I also think Paper Girl is a really good like episode to celebrate kind of the community.
Seabound is the best season of the show.
I think so. I put it A or S, like low S or A. But yeah, it's still like up there for me.
Seabound's impact is ruined. It does not have a legacy.
No.
That's the sad truth that we must all accept.
But that's not.
I don't care if Crystallized ruined it. It is still peak.
Yeah,
it is still peak.
Screw you.
No amount of bad storytelling in Crystallized can ever make me not still appreciate how amazing Seabound was.
We got a bribe from World of Cars Entertainment, $199.
Oh boy.
Can I pay?
No, we already established we can't. There's no.
We already
bribes.
said we don't take bribes, but
what happens? Yeah, what happens in Crystallized? Like, I obviously don't like it, but it doesn't like retroactively ruin all of Seabound for me. Because
Yeah.
it's like, you know, Nia basically dying was only like the end of that. There was still an entire season before that.
That's
That
the
was
thing.
all really
That's
good.
the thing. People only
Yeah.
talk about the finale with Seabound. And the thing is, Seabound is so much more than just the finale. Obviously, like, the finale is probably my favorite part. But, like,
Yeah.
the entire season from start to finish is, like, just as good, I think. I think it never dips at any point. I think
Yeah, I
it's just,
wouldn't
like,
say just as good.
I think it's phenomenal the entire way through. I think from the premiere to the end, it's really good. I think it escalates as it goes on. Like, as it goes on, it gets better slowly. But, like,
So solid, dude. Like,
it's so good. Everything. The lore, like, the animation, the character work. Like,
they
it gave
knew
us
what they were doing.
it gave us a good side character story with Benthamar that was just as, like, gripping and investing to me as the main, like, plot with Nia. Like, Kalmar and Benthamar's whole dynamic and backstory and, like, rivalry leading up
actually
to
relevant.
that final fight, it was relevant throughout, and it led up to, like, one of the best fights in the entire show. It was so
Dude,
good.
that
Also-
God, that huge group fight, like,
It was
so
really
good.
good.
Also,
Gojira's
probably
awesome.
one of the most dramatic on-screen death scenes with Trimar.
Yeah, that was
that's like very
Kalmar as a
early
villain
on
is
in the
just-
season.
I love Kalmar so much.
Kalmar
He's
is
such
so
a
entertaining,
maniacal jerk.
and I also think it balances like comedy and emotional themes very well.
Oh yeah.
And it
Mm.
uses the 11-minute format very well with like flashback episodes for
Yeah.
Benthamar and things like that. The pacing is good
I won't-
overall.
I won't die on like my hill because I mean I have not rewatched Seabound since Crystallized, but obviously like it leaves a bad taste in my mouth.
Yeah,
and like
but I would
I feel
see
like-
that
I
as
feel
a
like you-
crystallized problem and not as a Seabound problem,
eh,
personally.
mileage may vary because they knew what they were doing as they were writing it, and like it's hard for me to look at Nia's death as anything but like audience manipulation now, knowing that what their plan was, knowing that it wasn't
No.
anything but that. So
The thing is, the problem with Crystallized is they didn't know what they were doing, and they wrote that. They wrote that knowing that they would. I know they wrote that knowing that Nia would come back in the next season, obviously.
that's my point. Yeah,
But,
not
like-
that they had a plan.
But it's not. Nia could come back in a way that is good still. Like, it's not.
But that's what I
It-
mean. My point is not so much that like it's just she comes back; it's that she comes back with no story. That's
But
kind
that's
of like my
Crystallized
issue.
problem. That's it's. I don't think it's Seabound's fault that Crystallized fumbled the follow up.
But it's written by the same people, though. You know. The
Yeah, but I
same
mean,
show
But, like,
Everyone
Yeah,
has their
Crystal-
off days.
but, like,
We're all-
Like, Seabound could weave into a really good story for Crystallized that could have been possible, and like it sucks that Crystallized didn't do it. But like that doesn't make Seabound worse for it, in my opinion. But the thing is, I could see how like I see where you're coming from for sure.
Yeah, like I could
Now-
see how it would sour the vibe, but I don't think it affects
Yeah.
things like the actual writing and like the
Yeah,
concrete
like-
details of the season.
I won't die on the hill because, like I said, I haven't rewatched it since. I feel like the more nuanced stuff earlier in the season is kind of lost on me just because of like recency bias. I'll definitely like I need to go rewatch it because like for instance, Kalmar and like Benthamar doesn't have like nearly as much real estate in my mind as I think it.
I mean,
It
that
doesn't
also might
yours.
just be like a me thing too. I place a lot. Of
Sure, but
emphasis
you've
on
given a
Benthamar
lot of,
'cause I
like-
really like
You've
Benthamar.
given a lot of thought to it and analysis.
But like,
and,
yeah, I
you
do
know,
like, yeah.
It
There's
doesn't
a lot
not
of reasons.
exist.
There's a
It is
reason
there.
that I think Benthamar is as good as he is.
Sure.
I also think something we haven't really talked about is that the season is pretty brave in how they split the team, like completely sidelining
Yeah.
Cole and
Oh my
Kai,
goodness, I didn't even. Yeah,
and having like
the
Pixel
whole-
in a bigger role and Maya in a bigger role. I think that's
that
really
was
cool.
the smartest thing they have done in so long. And I remember watching the season for the first time and be like, "This is," because the problem for so long was there are too many characters. There are too many characters. Nobody's like getting the chance to like do anything. But then when you shrink the cast down, the dynamics are so much more fun and interesting and entertaining. And I just remember that being such a breath of fresh air.
I'm seeing a surprising amount of like Seabound dislike in the YouTube chat.
Nah.
It's interesting. What so there was a point like Emir had mentioned saying that like Wojira ruins the creation of Ninjago as a lore.
don't
I
agree.
presume that's what you're getting at,
No.
Monarb, as well as like the Wojira thing.
It
I'm
adds,
not sure like what
like-
specifically.
some weird layers to it. That are of course retconny. But it's not like it's impossible to make sense.
Yeah, because it's just like the wind and water thing for a Spinjitzu master never controlled them.
Yeah,
I don't have an
also,
issue
like,
with that. I don't think that really.
Ninjago was basically a water world before the landmass was created.
And that makes things make more sense to me personally, because like the Tournament of Elements didn't have wind and water.
Yeah, Monarch's like also how Dragons Rising just tries to counter retcon it and source dragons too.
I mean, we don't know that yet really, but
that's a work in progress there. We're not sure about that, but I don't know. I think it's fine. I think the Wojiro. I don't think the Wojiro lore really contradicts anything. I just think it adds to previously established stuff. I think it's cool that there was a point where Ninjago was just like.
But it creates a lot of questions.
Yeah. But like I think it creates like it's not questions as in like this is bad. It's more like questions as I'm curious to these things, but I don't need to know them to like understand what's happening. You know.
Right.
Like it'd be cool to know this stuff. It'd be cool to get more lore on like the first Ninjitsu Master and early Ninjago when it was just like the Keepers and the Merlopians and that stuff. But those are like interesting questions that are like cool spin-off material type stuff. It's not like quintessential knowledge, I feel like.
So it seems, I guess we should figure out ranking then. I will not die on the hill here. I'll kind of yield. What, how are we feeling, S or A?
S.
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 Top of S for me.
All right, well there it is.
I don't mind either way, so yeah. Top of S? But where
I don't know,
in S
I'd
is
say
the
top of
question. I'd say bottom of S.
Is it better than the Oni trilogy?
Yes. This is the
Well,
best season
it's
of the
only
show.
the Oni duo in S right now, so.
Good
I'd put it below
season.
Hunted, but that's me.
Yeah, I don't know.
Ben
I don't know if
Bosfor all the
Kalmar's a
way in the
better
top.
villain than, like,
Josh, what do you
Garmadon.
say? Josh, what do you say? Better or worse than Sons of Garmadon and Hunted?
Below.
Below Hunted or Sons of Garmadon? Or both?
Yes, below, like, last.
Can't do this to me, Josh.
I think I agree.
I have to compromise
I know you agree.
somewhere.
I think then you guys are
I
outvoted.
know where you stand.
Or should we do a poll or something?
No, it's fine.
I'm good with whatever.
I'm not gonna.
Alrighty.
I know it's not gonna get the top of it.
It made it to S. That's enough.
Yeah.
Next up,
I'm happy.
Ninjago Crystallized discussion hour. How many
Okay, yeah.
are we at
Throw it
at
in
this
F and let's
point?
move on.
You
Okay.
calculated the math the other day, Sakota. Was it
Yeah,
like?
but I mean that was before the last stream.
But
so
what was it? What was it
It's
then?
been-
It was
I
like
don't-
30 hours, I think.
I
Oh
think
my
if we include the set reviews, yeah, and if we don't, then not. or something.
30
Yeah.
plus
Oh my
hours
gosh.
of discussion that we've done about Crystallized.
My gosh.
Purple.
Okay,
You go first.
I'm gonna get my opinions out of the way really quickly. I watched the first half when it came out, and I was very like, whatever. This is just kind of whatever. I didn't like that they brought up back Nia so quickly, and so I just kind of fell off there. That's like the second time I fell off Ninjago, or third if you're keeping track. I don't know. I didn't watch the second half until like a few months ago. Well after all of the like mystical debacles I heard whispers of. And I watched it expecting it to be the worst thing ever, and I was just like, yeah, this is just another Ninjago season. There were moments I liked, there were things I didn't. I'm sure if I like thought more on it, I would probably dislike it a little bit, but like I'm very shallow when it comes to the things I like.
okay.
So I didn't like that they brought back Harumi, but I liked seeing her be mean to
Yeah.
Lloyd. Like,
Wow.
I know I keep like saying this, but like I'm just like really not personally into Lloyd that much. He's just kind of there. So when he
You
got
just wanted to
put,
see
You
him
just
suffer.
want someone to be mean.
literally, yeah, okay. I wanted to see him suffer, and him being like a total jerk to Garmadon. I know it was completely out of character, but I actually really liked that because it gave him a personality. Besides just, I'm the guy who has to fix
I'm really
everything.
curious to know how you feel about Dragons Rising Lloyd once we get to.
You know what? We will get to that.
That's a good point, Purple. I see where you're coming from.
Because
Yeah.
I'm actually I'm in kind of a similar thing. I don't have a hatred for Lloyd, but I've never until Dragons Rising Season 2, I've never really liked Lloyd that much.
Yeah, nah. Like I'm definitely playing up the hatred aspect just because like I realized how much screen time he gets.
Yeah.
And so I liked, you know, Lloyd being mean and getting put in a cage, and, you know, Harumi being around and doing things, and I like seeing Pythor, and also this is the shallowest reason of all, but I like that everything was purple.
You're allowed to be shallow.
I was going to make a joke about that.
No, I mean, listen, this perspective is good. Like, this is just as valued as anybody else, because we're very, like, lost in the sauce. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And
that's so funny to me, because, like, you know, when I was like in high school and stuff, I was always the one who liked Ninjago more than anyone I knew by a long shot, and now you guys actually remember aspects of the show that I don't. So
I mean, that perspective, like, it helps to get some like clarity, because I remember what was happening when we were all kind of like reeling from Crystallized, and we were on that trip, you know, and we were like showing you and Var and like Mange like the bad bits of Crystallized, like, out of context, and we were just like, look at how bad this is.
Yeah,
and
you literally just showed me an episode, and I was like, okay,
that was an episode of Ninjago.
This episode is about plants. Neat. Anyway,
Var was very much the same. If I remember, it was just like, that was Ninjago, all right.
So like, I don't like totally hate this season. I am also a little bit biased, because I won't lie, I do kind of like Harumi and Lloyd together. I like their whole like parallelism BS stuff. The whole like anti-Larumi thing is also completely lost on me, because I was not in the fandom when the Twitter was exploding.
Purple, you're gonna get canceled on Twitter now.
No, look, I mean, I will back this 100%, and like, cancel me, I dare you. Like, I've said this opinion before, but like, I don't buy into the whole like Larumi is like horrible thing. I feel like people are conflating aspects of real life abusive relationships and trying they're trying to transplant it on this like enemies to lovers trope that doesn't mirror real life abusive relationships at all.
Yeah, like I if you don't like the ship, that's totally fine. If you don't like the ship because, you know, you have personal like reasons, maybe you were in a toxic relationship or something like that, that's 100% fine. But if you think the people who like this ship of characters who are not real and are made of plastic, if you think the people who like the ship are any genre of problematic, like, don't insult real victims by acting like these Legos are like, they could feel the same feelings. You know what I mean?
There was a lot of that going around. It happened. And like, I mean, I just don't see the connections. Like, maybe there are connections. It's not my place to say. But like, it's not that the idea is like flawed. It's about how it was written. They didn't write it well, because like, you can have a character like who's done terrible things be like repentant for their actions, and, you know, grow to change as a result of like being humanized or falling in love or having empathy or like whatever. There's plenty of stories like that. They didn't do that though. They skipped that step, and they tried to retroactively invent that Harumi had feelings for him all along, which is not true and is revisionist history.
Directly contradicts canon material. Yeah.
It's just bad writing.
And that's my issue with it. Because I would have been perfectly down to see a Larumi relationship be written organically.
That's totally fine.
And so it should be burned at the stake.
Oh my god.
I do think, like, I rewatched Crystallized when we did the 1 year later discussion. So I haven't seen it since then. But I remember that, like, I was very impressed with the production values and the voice performances and the music and all that. And I do still kind of like part 1. I think the build up of the tension and the overall story is very well done in part 1. Like, it gets you very excited, but if you know how it ends, you can kind of see the problems, and that kind of it makes Crystallized is probably extremely hard for me to rank, but because I don't think it's fair to have it like an F with Hands of Time.
I mean?
I
think it is.
but it's a different kind of
fair.
bad, I guess.
It is. It's worse written but better produced. But like its effects are cataclysmic.
Yes.
Its effects are still being felt to this day right now. Its effects like have they played a role in like driving people away from the fandom like forever. You know, like it has a trail of devastation in its wake that can't be matched by anything.
But do we rank a season lower because of stuff that wasn't literally in the season,
Yeah,
like the fandom?
Exactly.
I mean, I think the season on its own is just still terrible.
I mean, I
feel like we should.
It's not great.
To answer Purple, I
fair
feel like
to
we
say.
shouldn't. I feel like it's wrong to do that.
I think even
But
if I don't, I would still rank it. The
I
lowest.
feel that I cannot separate Crystallized from the explosion it caused. So maybe I can't even have an opinion. Maybe I'm not. I can't do it.
I think even separating it.
I think even
the worst.
separated from the fandom, you can clearly say that it messes up Harumi's arc from Sons of Garmadon and Hunted. It messes up Mia's
so
overall
much.
arc, especially Seabound, and it messes up like a lot of lore stuff.
It messes
too,
up like
kinda.
everything. You know I don't like a season when I make an hour-long video, but you know I really don't like a season when I make a 250-page rewrite.
Yeah.
That doesn't show how much I really don't like this season and how much Ninjago has brain rotted me as a result. Yeah, I don't know.
We got a $5 super chat from Monarch. You still have feelings for him, Overlord.
Iconic line, and the fact that it was the Overlord that said it makes it even
so funny.
And then like a comment from like Iggy the Koopa, redemption as a whole has really been ruined by people trying to hold written fiction to real world standards. I blame BoJack Horseman. Yeah, I mean, I haven't seen BoJack Horseman, so I can't really vouch, but I've definitely seen it in a lot of fandoms I frequent. It was a big deal in the Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. fandom because of a certain character who I won't name, but you guys probably know which one it is. You know, it's a big deal. Complicated topic, really complicated to discuss it. But if we stick to the writing of Crystallized, I mean, really bad.
I think it's the worst season, personally.
So, lowest F for you, Bendo?
Yeah.
I mean, like, maybe it's hyperbolic, like, you know, like Purple said, maybe, like, it's not right to compare, but, like, especially because it was marketed as an ending, it kind of, like, has the March of the Oni problem, where it's, like, the
I'm trying to
advertising
ignore the advertising and marketing aspect.
Because really, it's not even remotely an ending. Like,
No,
there wasn't a gap.
No, nothing was concluded.
You know,
especially if you consider Quest of the for the Lost Powers as well. There's like a direct bridge, basically.
And then it continues in Dragons Rising, like barely like a year later, and it's like great, you know, like so. But like as the ending to like the saga it was billed as the end of like Tommy Andreessen's, you know, run, the end of the 11-minute era, the end of the Spinjitzu saga. Yeah, I mean, there will probably never be a bigger like bag fumble in every way. And like I'll never forget the emotions that were going through me when they closed it out with Sally's song. I think like my brain broke that day, and then I made like my 87 like parody ending videos.
See, okay,
there's some
you
stuff
have to
like
realize.
that. There's some stuff like that with the Sally song, for example. I felt like that was a big deal at the time, but now that it just continues, I don't care about that at all anymore.
Well,
and I've said this
season?
in our Dragons Rising Season 1 discussion, where I said I don't feel like it's a new show for me, it's just a direct continuation. Like, the further we move, the more I'm fermented in that belief.
The thing is, what other season could make Meso go crazy to that extent? Spawn 30 hours of NinjagoCast discussion, a 1-hour video from me with a 250-page rewrite, and this much fandom like discourse. To this day, I still see tweets about this, of people
Yeah.
arguing whether or not Oni Lloyd was well handled, or whether or not Larumi makes sense, or whether or not this or that or this or that. Like, it's just
The
crazy
balanced discussion. I remember, like when you use.
I literally,
That's
messaged. Oh, sorry.
the balance stuff is for me like. I mean, I care a lot about the character stuff, but you guys know I care about a lot about the lore. And I mean, it's not like it broke the lore the way it ends, but I feel like it's just very like uncreative and doesn't use it to the full extent I would have wished for.
There will be peace in the dark.
There will be peace in
There
the
will be
dark.
peace in the dark, Dakota.
Maybe my expectations were too high because the trailer very much used that peace in the dark speech very prominently. So I don't
think your expectations are too high. I think you thought what everybody else was thinking,
Maybe.
and that would be
you
important.
thought what they wanted you to think.
Yeah, you thought. Yeah.
Maybe. I don't know.
Oh, I can't wait for the Overlord to come back in 2 years and fight against the new ninja.
Please no.
I literally
Because,
messaged Dakota yesterday with some more crystallized like rewrite ideas.
Yeah.
I still think about it like even after all this time.
Yeah, man.
I've got a few.
So, you all want all the way back in F? I think purple doesn't. Right?
Purple
I'm
doesn't.
like the only one who doesn't, but
I would
literally
put
don't
it.
even
You're the
remember.
only one that doesn't have hatred in your soul.
My hot take is I'd put it above Ice Chapter. I feel
No,
like
I don't know about that one.
I mean, on my tier list, they're right next to each other, so.
I feel like I can see more positive things in Crystallized than in Ice Chapter.
I think Ice Chapter
but a lot
better.
of that is production values, so I don't know. Yeah.
I'm a big Ice Chapter hater, but it's not worse than Crystallized in my opinion.
Yeah, I would agree. It's basically just it's in the running with Hands of Time for me, and I would say it's done more damage.
So, all the way in the bottom, is that fine for everyone?
Yeah. Yes.
Alrighty.
Purple season.
I'm sorry, Purple.
But it's
I'm happy that you were able to get enjoyment out of it. I think your take is probably the right one in the sense of like just enjoying it and not like
not thinking
not hyper fixating on every like detail. But I can't unwrite my past.
Not being lost in the Ninjago brain rot that holds my brain randomly thinking about this random plastic Lego season.
Have you posted your rewrite anywhere?
Not yet. It's still I'm in like the third draft of it basically.
Nice.
It's been a long process.
You posted some privately, which you could see, Purple. But
we should do a reading of it.
Oh yeah, I forgot I did actually. That would be fun. Okay, I forgot I posted it in the private chat in the server as well.
If you bend out, I mean, like this is ultimately your call because it's your idea. You choose how to distribute your rewrite. You know what I mean? But like, I would 100% be down to do like a reading, kind of like how we did the Lost Island.
I think we should do a private reading because I would love feedback from you guys before I put it out there.
We could do that, but then like, I mean,
if we can schedule
maybe
it
in the future.
It's really long.
I'm down.
If you guys like it enough and are willing to, that would be really fun.
It doesn't even have to be just us. We could get like other community talent.
The thing that sucks about this is I've spent so much time making this, and I've showed it to friends, and I've had people tell me it's good. But that never actually matters. I don't know if this thing is good or not.
You gotta just post it, man. Take it from me.
But yeah, if you guys could,
we will take a look because I've read bits and pieces and I liked what I read, but I have not fully sat down and read the whole thing.
Yeah, so I'd love to hear feedback.
I need to do that.
All right.
Sorry about that.
Dragons Rising.
You're all good, man. Let's end this with Dragons Rising.
Yeah.
Dragons Rising Season 1.
I mean, it's good.
It's pretty good. I like
is
it a lot.
Season 1 or is it Season 1 Part 1?
No, it's.
I think we're doing the entirety of seasons. Yeah.
Okay. I just see there's like 3 images left and some like.
Yeah, it's because it has Ice Chapter and Fire Chapter combined as well.
Oh, okay.
It's really good.
Yeah, I would. It's tricky because it's a very solid season. It is extremely messy aesthetically, though. Like, that's the one thing is like past seasons, they all had a concrete theme, but like Dragons Rising, like due to the merge, everything is literally all over the place.
Yeah.
So that's like the one thing that kind of detracts from me, but otherwise, like this is definitely an A season.
high A or low S for me. Season 1.
I would definitely put season 2 above season 1 in any
Yes.
ranking.
Season 1 was really good, and I still think it is, but it's on the upswing.
For me,
Season 2 is better.
If we're already talking about season 2, for me, it's like I like season 2 part 1 more than season 1, and season 2 part 2 less than season 1. Still, all of them very good, but yeah.
I will get to season 2 when we get to season 2.
Yeah, that's fair. I mean, like, so this is something which I've been wondering, and I haven't. I would need to rewatch it, which I have not done. You know, I've only seen it in full once, but I plan to do a rewatch at some point because I was dragging Zach and GL through Ninjago, and we stopped at Crystallized, and they never saw Dragons Rising. So one day I'll go back through it again with them.
Oh, let me join. I want to watch it too.
That'd be fun. I want to, because I wonder if it's as good as we feel like it is. Basically, I wonder if it's influenced by Crystallized, is what I'm getting at. Season 1 specifically. It may not be.
Yeah, for me it wasn't. I watched Dragons Rising before Crystallized.
Oh, that's funny.
Yeah.
Yeah, you have a very a very kind of unbiased take. But I know we were all very much kind of watching it like with PTSD, basically. And I still think it's good. I still think like Eren and Sora are like fantastic characters. I love the merge as an idea. I think Imperium are fine. I think they work well for like this first chapter. I don't think they're going to win any like top villains of the series awards, with like Beatrix, but I think she does the job perfectly fine. But like, I think about things. Wait, what? Were you saying?
Was season 1 the season where they meet like the snail tribe and they do that whole trial? Or was that season 2? Okay, season 1. Yeah, that is like one of my top favorite episodes. It is like so freaking funny.
Yeah, I agree. But you get what I mean. Like I'm not sure it's as good as we feel like it is. Because there are problems.
I rewatched season 1 not too long ago, and I rewatched season 2 also not too long ago, and I actually think it might be as good as we thought it is.
That's good to know. I certainly hope so.
I think it's really good. I think it's like, for me, it's a really good building off point. It's like a great, like, it does such a good job. The highlights for me are how good the world building is in this season. I think that's a big standout. Ninjago has never had this solid of just fantastic world building.
Maybe that is why I like it so much, because I usually care more about the world building and lore than the character arcs.
Yeah, for sure.
But
speaking of character arcs, my second standout of the season is Sora. Sora, after the season ended, quickly became my new favorite character in the whole show.
She's extremely well written.
Yeah, I think Sora is probably, if you try to be objective about it, one of, if not the best written character in Ninjago.
Yeah. Like, her arc in this season is probably right now still my favorite character arc in the whole show. It's just, I love it so much. They did such a good job with it, and they do such a good job with the like Dragons Rising character work in general. And Sora was the first big example that was like, it was just, I was blown away by it. It was so subversive and different, and like the payoff was like not what I expected. It was
the payoff was what cinched it for me.
Yeah, the payoff is what made it go from like what I thought would be like a standard typical story to like really twisting the messaging and making me go, oh wow, this is completely different than I thought it was.
The thing with her family and like how she had to deal with that.
You can tell a lot of thought was put into like this season.
Yeah.
And I just think there's areas where this season like does kind of slow down, and there are some boring bits, and there are some bits where like stuff goes on for too long.
The entire first
there's
bit
some
of
stuff
part
where
2.
it's like there's some stuff where it's like, okay, well this kind of feels like a plot hole right now and stuff like that, but maybe it'll be addressed.
Yeah,
they
and
introduce
like
a lot
also
of
like
new lore that is not fully explained, and they're starting to do it over time, so I give them the benefit of the doubt that it will all
playing the long game,
end up
this season.
But yeah,
it just did such a good job of just laying the groundwork for Dragons Rising, and I don't think on its own it's like like I think it's an A tier, personally. It just doesn't reach like the S heights for me, just because as a whole, there are some episodes where it's like I don't know, I don't love every episode to death, but like
I feel
what
like
I do
even
love
the
about the season,
episodes
I
that I
adore.
don't love to death, though, I still think are good.
Yeah.
Like, I don't think there's a single bad episode of Dragons
Oh yeah,
Rising.
of course.
But I do think there are issues in the episodes that I think when
Yeah.
you look at them as a whole, they do drag it down. I think of like how they explained like the lore about like the dragon
Oh yeah,
cores.
episode
I think
11
of like
is...
I think
Yeah.
of Zane randomly being in the Imperium Monastery, and we still to this day
Yeah.
don't know
Which
why.
they say there's a reason for that. That's kind of what I meant
Actually-
with right now. I'll give him the benefit of the doubt.
Yeah,
but there's a
for
lot
now.
of unexplained stuff. That,
I'm
yes.
not used to Ninjago being written with a plan. So
Right.
I'm loving it. I love
You know-
once we get to season, I mean, I can't even really talk about it because I can't talk about part 2 yet.
Yeah,
But like, the
Sorry,
lore
like-
and plots are paying off. Sorry, go
Yeah,
ahead.
I feel like I do think Dragons Rising season 1 is very solid, but I do also feel like I'm slightly turning a blind eye to potential plot holes just because it is the beginning of something.
Yeah.
So if something is confusing or doesn't make a lot of sense, it automatically gets filtered into the oh well this will just get explained later category. But if like too much ends up in that category without like actual explanations, then like it's gonna kind of drag things down a bit.
that makes sense,
Mhm.
and I agree.
Yeah.
Generally speaking,
The season
think-
could age really well or really poorly with time.
Yeah.
I do think after season 1 there were a lot of open questions. Now with season 2, a lot of it in part 1 of season 2 already, we have a lot of answers already, and it kind of shows like the trajectory where it's going, that they are slowly introducing these answers. So I'm having a bit more faith in everything being resolved in a good way.
makes sense.
Yeah.
Do you have an example?
For example, like Wildfire's element, we didn't know, and now in season 2 it got revealed how it works. With the Swords Dragons, we didn't know what they were. Now we're slowly getting like what their names are, and that they are like they each have multiple elements, and like how they work, and what's a matriarch and what's a patriarch dragon, like that whole hierarchy.
Yeah.
And elemental powers. Why are there different elemental powers in different realms? Is slowly starting to be addressed. So I think like they have a slow pace of revealing those answers, but I think that's not like that's a good thing if they end up all making sense, basically.
I think they're pacing stuff out really well, and I really love this. I love this like approach to storytelling personally. I love shows that will set up mysteries and just have them like be in the back of your mind for a long time, and just over the time like reveal stuff, and also shows that actually have a plan for where their characters are going from square one. And like parts of season 2 made me go back on season 1, especially with characters like Aaron, and made me go, all the stuff that I initially wasn't super fond of, I actually realized the purpose of it now, and I'm like, okay, yeah, this is really cool.
Yeah.
Like the whole conduit subplot in season 1, I felt like, oh, that's neat. They're kind of doing a bit of foreshadowing, but then like in season 2, this is like a main point. This is like the story driver for Lloyd, and it's really well implemented.
Yeah, it's
So-
adds rewatch value too.
That's kind of for
And
me
speaking of-
why I like season 2 part 1 more than season 1. It's kind of a Hunted and Sons of Garmadon situation for me again, where season 2 part 1 gets a lot of the payoff from what's built up in season 1. Yeah.
Yeah, and speaking of Lloyd, I can't remember who, but someone asked about like my opinion on Dragons Rising Lloyd versus like the other Lloyd. I definitely like Dragons Rising Lloyd more because he's like an actual character, I guess. Like he has like all this important stuff, but like he's not like perfect at being a mentor, and like all the fancy, you know, whatever is going on with like his lineage bloodline stuff is like taking a negative toll on him. So I do like that they're doing that.
I like that Lloyd can, in one season, or I guess not in one season, but you know, over the course of like a season or two, go from the scene where he's like trying to imitate Wu and like drinking the tea and like burning himself, to like the mental health stuff and like being haunted by dreams, because like it shows he has range. He can be like a goofball. He's not like serious all the time, but he's
Yeah.
also like deeply like affected and troubled by things. He's not like written as a joke. He can joke
I
without
think-
being written as a joke.
I know this is gonna come off as huge monkey kid like brain rot, but like he is starting, especially with season 2, he's starting to really give me Sun Wukong vibes. Not necessarily in the way they act, but just in the way that he has like this goofy persona, but he also has these really serious moments, and he also just makes a lot of mistakes and is like he's still figuring stuff out, and he's not the best at being a mentor, and he's not the best at doing this, but he's making the best of it, and he has real struggles that he goes through, and he doesn't know how to handle them fully the best yet. And it kind of like I like that dynamic of a mentor character, to kind of have that humanity to them and to have those two sides.
Yeah.
So
Like not just being like an all-knowing god, but to just be a person.
not being like just a blank slate of a character that like spouts exposition and tells the heroes exactly what they have to do, but someone that has their own struggles that they're dealing with in the background, while also trying their best to give their best advice they can in the moment, even if it's not always the best or the right thing they should be saying. Which
I agree.
Yeah,
that leans more into season 2, but
overall, season 1, I mean, I had put it in S before in prior rankings. I think that is largely, I think I would attribute that largely to me just feeling like it saved Ninjago after Crystallized, which I do still feel. I think if I'm being genuine to how I like probably actually feel, it's probably a high A in contrast with season 2, which I do feel is better. Markedly so.
So you want?
So I would say high A.
I think that's
I would say
high
low
A
A.
or low S. But, oh really? Okay.
I would put it below Tournament and Master of the Mountain probably.
Honestly, I would put it above Tournament.
There's
I
no
would
way
also-
Tournament's
like,
better than
I'd
Dragons
personally
Rising.
also,
I'm sorry,
especially
but
like with the second half of Tournament. I personally.
Sorry, I'm the
feel
only
like
one.
Tournament-
That's okay. You,
I'm sorry, bro. I'm
Josh,
sorry, bro.
what do you think?
fair enough.
Above Tournament.
Okay. I think it's
Alright,
settled
the
then.
only one.
All right, then
I like Tournament, man.
we got.
I like
super chat
Tournament
from-
I like Tournament, but I like the it's more
Yeah, I get
consistent.
it.
I think. I really like
Yeah.
the ending of season 1.
Yeah.
Super chat from World of Cars Entertainment for $9.99. Sorry for the spam. Just want to say thank you for NinjagoCast all these years. Hearing the ups and downs Ninjago has had. Happy to support my favorite Ninjago account and for more years to follow. Well, that's incredibly kind of you. Thank you very much, and thank you for the viewership and the support, because it helps fund the TTV message boards, which I don't know if you frequent, but many people do, and they like them a lot. So thank you.
All right,
Awesome.
final season.
Okay, are we judging season 2 solely on part 1 or both parts?
I think
We're gonna
judging
do both parts,
but no
but we're gonna
spoilers for
avoid
part 2.
talking about.
Yeah, we can't talk about part 2, which pains me
God.
so much.
Same. Okay.
Realistically, if we're being genuine, I bet everybody watching has seen the leaks. I just want to kind of be respectful to those who haven't. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And to save our own opinions for when we actually do our podcast, which we are
Right.
going to do. So how can we
I
even do it?
man. I do really like season 2. I'm picking my words carefully. I like man, what happened in part 1 again?
The blood
The wolf.
thing.
The blood
Wolf
moon,
stuff,
yeah.
Blood Moon. It was freaking Roz at Shadow Dojo, wasn't it?
Roz at
Roz
Shadow
at Shadow
Dojo.
Okay.
Roz from Chima confirmed.
Bonzo and her whole backstory.
Oh,
Gondolaria.
it was all the Bonzo stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Eagle and Ron 2, all of them.
Yes.
The
Yes.
witch
The training
lady.
arc,
Okay.
basically.
They put so
Okay.
much stuff in those 10 episodes. Oh my
God, for
goodness.
real. Yeah, okay. I did like those a lot. I thought they were good, and anytime Wildfire is on screen is a delight.
She is
I-
based.
Yeah.
Love that was
The
awesome.
season overall, my one complaint is that there's a lot of characters, and it feels like not everyone gets their time to shine. But my favorite thing is, well,
I mean, okay, look.
you know.
Look, if we're being like, we've talked about the sets already, and in the sets they have Evil J. So
yes,
also the promotional material.
Yeah, also
like
Lego
the trailers.
Yeah, also Lego
Yeah.
leaked that fight scene.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Fair
Literally,
to
literally, like that fight was just like win after win after win for me personally. Like
Nice.
literally, like, you know, you have a fight between two, like a couple or whatever, like two people who care about each other. You have the I'm really sorry if I'm spoiling, like really I am. But you have Gong, you have it not magically getting resolved in in an instant. You like
It's good.
he's still out there, which means there's gonna be more episodes. And if like if the writing quality of Dragons Rising continues, my favorite possible thing that could happen in the show is going to actually happen and be like well written. Like, okay, I'm not going to get my hopes up. I'm not going to get my hopes up. It's
What
just a
is-
show, and I'm not writing it. But
What is that goal for you?
what do you mean?
Like you said, the favorite thing that could possibly happen could happen. What is that for you?
Well,
Like the good
Yeah,
scenario to
dream
this.
scenario.
honestly, like, I guess it kind of already happened with like the fight itself, but it would just be like if they sort of used what happened to Jay to like really dig into his character more or something, and like dig into like his relationships with like the others, because now those have been more or less, you know, destroyed.
Cool.
And so it'd be kind of like a way to like reset his character after Wild Brain, because like
Nice.
I didn't inherently hate the way they wrote Jay, but he was like a completely different person, and now he is literally the biggest a-hole in the show. So like
Okay.
I like that personally. But
Cool.
yeah.
So, for instance, if Nia just finds Jay and is like, Jay, remember me, and then he remembers her, and then they kiss. So that's the worst timeline for you.
Literally, like if it all
This will
got
be the third
resolved,
fall off point.
Third fall off point. Okay. Well, we'll see.
yeah, we can save this for like the
Yeah. I hope we
yeah,
can get
cool
you on for
podcast.
the season episode.
I would like to be on. I want to talk about this so bad.
So where would you rank it in total? Would it be like S tier? Would it not be?
It's hard because I want to put it in S tier, but I'm also extremely biased.
You're allowed to be biased.
So it's like,
I'm biased. You can be biased. I'm going to be biased in a second.
yeah, I mean, like, okay, low S, high A, but like S, you know.
Yeah, I mean, I want it to be in S as well.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I
I would.
Genuinely speaking.
I personally would put it between Hunted and Seabound.
Yeah.
I once again, I think part 1. I like part 1 a lot better than part 2. I mean, a lot. I still like both.
I think part 2 is way more flawed than
Yeah,
part 1.
part 2 has
Same.
like, I mean, already saw in the trailer some of the matchups I thought were a bit odd.
Yeah.
But
It has flaws, but it has higher highs.
yeah, but it
Yeah,
has some very
it
high
has-
highs. It has a really
The
cool...
flaws all have to do with like the structure for me, and like
Yeah.
not the actual character plots, because the character plots are like consistently peak, and I don't have
Yeah.
any issues with that.
Yeah.
It's just the actual framing and plot,
I
like
think part
of
part
how the
1
story plays out.
just has a very cool through line with the tension, with like first the training art being less like intense, and then it builds up with the plot moon.
Yeah.
I really like that a lot. And
I missed a super chat earlier when I read World of Cars. I missed Superfan Go, who also sent in $5. Thank you. And says, if the Overlord returns because of conflict, then shouldn't the chaos of the merge have instantly brought him back? Overlord is Roz's master, confirmed. And see, I would agree with you if the merge necessarily equates to pure conflict.
yeah.
It doesn't. It definitely caused some. However, you see a lot of people have coexisted in the merge. Like they've formed the crossroads. They're living amongst each other. They're holding pie baking competitions. It's not an apocalyptic, world where like everyone's at each other's throats necessarily, even though I'm sure there is some of that, certainly. So yeah, I don't know.
Yeah.
It's hard to say.
I think there are ways to explain it away. So.
Agreed.
And I don't think Rosmaster is the overload.
I hope.
Do we have any idea who it is? Like,
I'm pretty sure it's the host Dragon of Strength.
Yeah.
okay.
Probably.
But knowing Dragons
Because-
Rising, that almost seems
Yeah,
too
but-
obvious.
But his whole flashback scene is about my master showed me
Yeah.
to be strong.
I'm waiting for some kind of twist in that regard.
And I
Maybe
think-
I'm
wasn't it
too
the same
faithful, but I don't even
voice
care at this point.
Even
Dragons Rising has won me over. I don't.
We'll
I
see.
expect more from them at this point.
Yeah.
All I really have to say, because if I'm to put part 2, I would put it in S. I would put it above Seabound. Don't at me. I would.
yeah,
personally.
I agree with Mr.
I would say
In the context of this tier list, I agree.
there is. I'll save my thoughts in full. The greatest strength of Dragons Rising isn't its world building, although that's good. It isn't its fights, though they are good. It isn't even like necessarily its plot, although it is good. It's that it's letting things breathe.
Mhm.
It's letting things develop naturally over time, organically, in a way that makes sense. It does not feel like anyone is being rushed along or doing things that are out of character to get to a point.
Yeah.
Which I feel a lot of old Ninjago felt like all the time, especially in the 11-minute episode era, but even before that, there's a few character arcs. Lloyd, Sora, Aaron, that are being allowed to breathe and develop. And like Jay, like we were talking about, he's one of them too. That could very easily be resolved in old Ninjago. It's not. They're letting it breathe. And one character in particular, Aaron, I'm all for. He single-handedly
Aaron
elevates
is
the
so
season
cool.
from
Aaron
like
is
an
great.
A to an S. And we'll see where it goes. I look forward to talking about it more.
I can't
in
wait to
October.
talk about Aaron. So much. Excited.
So for now, I would put it in S. I'm not married to it being above or below Seabound, but personally, it is. It's like number
3.
3 for me.
For me, literally, like the message I sent immediately, like hours after watching this in the chat, in the private chat of the server, was like, "We've done it. We've surpassed the Oni trilogy. I'm setting this in stone. This is literally, like, I say that like Seabound's my favorite season, but I admit that was kind of a fluke. That was a one-time thing. That wasn't really in the context afterwards. That wasn't really a we're back moment. That was more so this was really good.
It was a happy
in a bubble.
surprise.
It was we
Yeah.
rolled a D20 moment.
Now we're in the official "we are so back" moment. We have for me at least, we've surpassed the Oni trilogy. We're finally at the point where this show is back to actually getting better at a consistent rate
I will say
instead of being in limbo, going between good and bad seasons.
I will say, having recently rewatched Dragons Rising Season 1 and 2, I am personally very attached to the Oni trilogy, but I think if they keep like building onto each other with Dragons Rising, I think it can very much surpass it, and I think it could even change my mind on like these seasons already being better than the Oni trilogy if like there's later some really good payoff to what they're building right now.
The scary part is these seasons could age very poorly if the show does not keep accelerating in quality. Because my one wish, this was my one wish for season 2. All I wanted for season 2 was for it to be better than season 1, just by a little bit. And that's my same wish for season 3. All I want, just be a little bit better. Fix any of the potential problems that the season had and learn from them and get better. And I know they can because they did it with season 2. So here's hoping.
There's a comment in the YouTube chat I'd be remiss to not read. It's from Iggy the Koopa. They say, again, I hate to be that guy, but I'll always be apprehensive since after Wild Brain, the quality of Ninjago can change drastically for better or for worse, and I just can't trust them. I hope the series can ride this high for as long as the show goes on. Once it's all said and done, and then I hear from everyone that the entirety of Dragons Rising was good, I'll come back. I cannot fault you one iota. You make your own choices about the kind of media you watch. I have said the exact same thing in the past. I went on this spiel for March of the Oni, and then they suckered me back in with the Ice Emperor, and then I went on this spiel at the end of Ice Chapter, and then they suckered me back in with Master of the Mountain and Seabound, and then I went on the same spiel with Crystallized. Like, you never know what's going to happen in the future. Eventually, Ninjago will have a bad season again. It doesn't mean it has to be so bad that it invalidates everything that came before, though. We gotta wait and see. But if you ain't up for that roller coaster ride, I don't blame you. The seasons aren't going anywhere. You know, Lego doesn't seem like the type to be like Warner Brothers and just delete like cartoons from streaming services. You know, Ninjago will probably be around and viewable for the foreseeable future. So, you do you. But thanks for following along the discussion either way. I hope this was entertaining.
Yeah, it is scary to put our faith in Dragons Rising, and I feel like I might be a bit overconfident in it, but I've just been surprised and nonstop. Even with the high expectations I had for season 2, they still got surpassed by both parts. I don't know. I feel like I'm riding the high of it right now. I might come crashing down and go into another crystallized level, like.
I mean, look,
fall off
as
of
long
the show,
as you can enjoy the ride, I mean,
yeah, like it's not a waste of time. Like,
yeah,
any media will have a bad day. Just look at Marvel right now. Marvel rode high for 10 years and culminated with like an amazing finale, and then fell off a cliff. Like, it can happen to anything at any time. It doesn't invalidate the good movies, though.
Yeah,
you just gotta.
Which is why I still love Seabound.
There you go. You gotta just keep going.
So,
yeah. Superfan Go. The pilot episodes in Day of the Departed still aren't on Netflix. Good point.
Yeah,
this is sad.
All right.
Well,
alrighty.
That was a long podcast.
Yes.
Before we end, are there any rankings that we would want to change now that we have the full list?
You're right. Let's look at this.
I think.
Well.
Like, I mean,
I know there's some Bindo would change.
It's not exactly how my list would look like, but I can understand all the rankings.
Yeah, like as a group list, I think it's good. My own personal.
Just for context, I'll post my personal tier list in the
Please do.
chat.
Oh, I should have been making that.
I made mine a while ago.
Yeah, I made mine. I made an updated one like a month ago or so. And that's what it is.
Without, I think. That's before Crystallized.
Let's see. Where was mine? That was so like inflammatory. Let's see. I'm scrolling. Scroll. Oh, here we go. So, circa this time last year, my tier list was like, I had Rebooted and Seabound in the B tier and right next to each other.
Well, dude, I remember you posting that. That hurt my soul.
I feel like they have a lot of parallels.
I can see the parallels, but
they have seasons that are defined solely by the sacrifice at the end, which is immediately undone by the next season, and that lingers in people's minds so much that they don't remember or really even talk about the rest of the season all that much.
Which is a shame, because Rebooted is hilariously awful and Seabound is hilariously peak.
Well, that's why I put it above it.
Yeah, I appreciate that active.
Yeah.
You need to rewatch. We're gonna make Meso rewatch Seabound.
No, I mean I need to at some point. Like I will. Yeah, I'm pretty content with the rankings.
Yeah.
Honestly, same here.
Aaron
turned out pretty good.
Aaron in the patron chat says, my biggest fear is how will Dragons Rising end? Doc said Ninjago will never end, which is fine. I'm more so afraid that the show will have to end. But with Lego getting involved to build up its next era for the show and make the status quo go back to the show pre-Dragons Rising and undo stuff, mainly because I feel like other shows and franchises do that. I mean, it's possible. I don't think Ninjago should last forever. I think the franchise should end. But if they are committed to it literally lasting forever, then yeah, they'll probably have to do another soft reboot at some point.
They've said on multiple
reboot.
instances that like it's like Ninjago's going on. Like
Which
the main
eventually-
thing is Dragons Rising will end, but Ninjago will not. Is like their main-
Eventually, if they really want Ninjago to literally last forever, it will have to be hard rebooted at some point because they
Yeah,
can't keep adding
sadly.
onto the lore. We're already pushing
which
it now.
for a lot of
with the Source
people,
Dragons.
for a lot of people I know, would completely like dissolve their interest.
Yeah, I mean that'll be it.
Not
everybody
me.
would stick
Personally, I would be down. Like I wouldn't be down for a reboot, but like I'd still watch it. I'd still try it.
I'd be curious, but it probably wouldn't grip me in the same way. But that'd be fine because I would have had my fun with the franchise, and the
It'd be
next
for new
generation could
people.
take it from
But
there.
the beautiful thing about Dragons Rising is that it's like we're in a spot where they've somewhat like they've soft rebooted it, where new people can get involved and interested, and old fans can still have a lot of fun with it too.
But,
It's like
but you
the
can't
best of
pull
both
that trick
worlds.
twice with the merge.
But yeah,
just
but you
kind of-
can't pull that trick twice. So what happens when Dragons Rising inevitably ends?
Time twins, time reset.
Oh my god.
Does it really become?
Oof.
Does it become just a new show where it's like just the new characters or what? It's hard to even say where the plot's going at this point to where something
Hard to
like
say.
that would even be set up.
Yeah.
It's
We'll have to see, I suppose. But I'm very curious. I still like talking about it. It's still fun to talk about.
of course.
You say, of course, but I was ready to be done with it. I was ready to drop it like twice. Ice Chapter and Crystallized were kind of my points because I think I've talked about this on one of your streams, Bendo. It was like if I'm just gonna watch it and I know I'm gonna not like it,
Yeah.
why bother? Because I don't want to. I, contrary to what some people might think, I don't enjoy spewing negativity out there. I think it's fine if people like enjoy things. Like I didn't spend the last hour trying to convince Purple that Crystallized was actually the devil. You know, you were just like, yeah, I watched it. I liked it because it was purple,
Yeah.
and
I
really
low
being
key feel
cool.
like I have a superpower by not hating this season.
That's
I
awesome.
envy you in a way.
live your truth. Like it's like for me, there was a point where I was like, I'm not gonna get anything else out of Ninjago. They'll never change the status quo. They'll never kill a character. They'll never retire the main cast. They'll never kill Wu. They'll never do anything like this. Why am I going to watch it if I'm just going to keep hating it? And then I was ready to bounce. And then the very time I said that, they were like, oh yeah, we're introducing like a bunch of new characters and like Wu is gone and like we're massively changing the status quo. I'm like, oh, okay.
Dragons Rising is
remember when-
exactly what we needed.
I remember when we got the first teases for Dragons Rising, and you guys were all still like super skeptical. I was like, "Come on, Meso, this looks like exactly what you want."
Yeah, and it turned out to be. But yeah, we should end. We're going on a long time.
Yes.
Yeah.
I'll have
Josh is
to.
gone. Oh no.
I'll have to private the video, and it will probably take a while before I can download it because of the way YouTube works, and then I have to
Tragic.
render it and re-upload it,
Rip.
and it's probably gonna be like a 4.5 hour video.
Oh my god, dude.
I think I don't know. I'm not
No,
sure.
it's
how long
about
the first part
it's a
was,
little
but,
under 4 hours right now.
Oh, okay.
It's
Oh, yeah.
almost 4 hours.
So sorry if that's not available immediately. But yeah, I'll
I mean,
get to
hey,
that.
we had a consistent crowd. Like
Yeah.
everybody.
Everybody came over, which
Yeah.
is great.
Fun.
Josh just he just typed like BRB in the chat. He'll be back in like a second, but I don't know how long he'll be. I don't want to prolong. It's already so late. Also, Purple, this is an amazing tier list.
Thanks.
So you do still put like season 1 of Dragons Rising above Seabound, even with how much you love Seabound. That's good to hear.
Yeah, I really like Seabound, but like Dragons Rising has just been kind of firing on all cylinders.
Heck yeah. I like Rebooted being number 6. That's funny. And I like how you don't remember. You need to rewatch the Oni trilogy.
Yeah.
Yeah, I literally don't. I was doing a Ninjago rewatch like a few months ago, but I started with Wild Brain, went all the way through Dragons Rising, looped back to the start of the show, and then never finished season 1.
Actually tragic.
Yeah. So maybe I'll get back to it. Maybe I'll literally drop off the show when I hit Possession Skybound again. Who knows?
Big oof.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I don't know if Josh is coming back.
Rip.
Let's go ahead and end. I doubt he'll mind.
Maybe if
All
we
right,
talk
guys.
really slowly.
There you go. Thank you.
Oh.
God.
Super chat
just gotta
from
say
World of
it.
Cars Entertainment 199 delaying the stream.
Delaying the stream. Thank you, World of Cars. You're very nice. I appreciate you.
Yeah, no, for real, I'm actually like starving right now.
Yeah, me
haven't
too. I've been
eaten
sitting
yet.
All right.
in place. Wait, what? You haven't eaten at all?
I haven't eaten dinner yet.
That's
We like
messed up,
started
Purple.
filming at 5 and now it's like 9 p.m.
I'm so sorry. Okay.
It's okay.
But it was
Yeah,
fun though. It was a good time.
Yeah, this was
It's a
fun.
good
It was good meeting you, Bendo, and I mean Sakota. I already knew you, but it's good talking to you again.
Yeah.
I think this is the most you've ever talked on a podcast, Purple.
Seriously, I feel like I was kind of
I
quiet during part of it.
I mean, we all talk a lot, but like when you spread it out over 4 hours, I feel like you talked a lot.
It was really cool
I feel
to
like-
have your perspective because I feel like we are all so deep into things.
Yeah.
sometimes. Yeah.
We're like
Yeah,
we're like down here, like
yeah, like serious mental health advice. Step away from fandom sometimes.
Yeah,
within
I learned that
the
the hard way.
Ninjago trenches.
Yeah.
No.
I forgot to mention another reason I really, really like Dragons Rising just as a whole is because Wildfire is the best character in any piece of media ever. Like it's no contest. She is literally like so consistently great every time she's around, even when she is doing like nothing.
What did
Like just
She is pretty epic.
Okay, I have to ask real quick before we end the stream, and maybe Josh will come back. What did you think of the return to the wildness stuff?
I don't think I saw those actually.
Oh, okay.
Well, you should consume more Wildfire content.
Yes, please send it to me. Actually, Meso, I think you did. I
think
just
I
didn't get around for it. But,
Yeah.
Wildfire is very epic.
Yeah.
So she is so funny. Like
Yeah.
I love her.
the season 1 finale where Beatrix was like, "Oh, you all look down on me because I don't have elemental powers," and Lloyd's like, "No, none of us do that." And Wildfire's like, "I do." I'm just like, "You're the best."
Yeah. Yeah, it's really great. Okay.
Yeah.
We'll go ahead and end. Thank you guys for watching episode 85 of Ninjago Cast. We will be back probably like 10, 12, probably 12, 14-ish days after the official release. Sakota's going to be out of town, and then we're going to let the reacts kind of play out first, and then we will schedule and announce our season 2 part 2
That way
podcast.
People have time to officially watch the episodes again,
Which is
or the
very
time.
important.
Yes.
I can't stress it. It's so important that you actually watch the episodes on the official platforms because those metrics, they are what, the showrunners and the producers are able to like leverage to get it renewed, Like
Yeah.
Lego, it would not be something unheard of for Lego to just pull the plug if the show doesn't get enough viewership. So like we can take nothing for granted. Even if you don't want to watch it again, just leave it on, like playing, just like do it.
You
All
got it.
night,
I will
over and
be
over.
watching season 2 like so many times.
There you go. So it is really important, like seriously, for real. But yeah, we'll be back like mid-October. We'll talk about it. Hopefully Purple will be there too, if schedules permit. Thank you guys so much for watching and for all of your like super chats, for all your comments, for all your opinions, for voting on the poll. You guys rock. I have been Sensei Meso.
I've been Sakota.
I've been Bendo.
I've been Purple.
And Josh was here. Support Joshua Deck and his art endeavors. And we'll be back
I'm about
next
to.
We'll be back next time for more Ninjago Cast. Have a good night, everybody.
Good night.
Good night.
Bye.